.117, what's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going, Lex?
Man, it's going good. It's going good.
That's good. That's good.
What time is it where you are?
Time? It's oh, let me check that. I don't know. It's 2:43. I don't know what time is because I'm a millennial. So unless my phone displays it to me immediately, I don't know. Could be any time.
So like, basically, time is whatever you want it to be. You just make it up.
Yeah, it's time is whatever I want as long as you're giving me stuff. That's it. That's all I care about.
Ooh.
It's just me. You know.
You mean like benefits and $15 an hour and shit like that?
Yeah, exactly. No, actually, I think in Australia the minimum wage is $17 an hour.
Oh my god.
That's fun. Well, you know, our dollar is worth like $1.3 US or something, so I think it equals out. But yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
The US dollar is doing a bit better. I remember a couple of years ago, it actually dipped into Australia's favor. So I think it was like 0.9 US dollars to $1 Australian dollar, or the other way around or whatever. But everyone I know started buying American stuff because they were so cheap. Doc Marten boots and everything, just come on. And then it ended, and you know, the rush stopped.
You know what they
were all very sad again.
You know what they ought to do, man, is they ought to just play it in like market swells, like a bear and bull market. So when that happens, they can buy up all the American shit, and then when it dips again and everything's like 10 times the price, you've got all the stuff saved back, and then you can just sell it. And then look at that, you made a profit.
Yeah, man. I mean, or we could just go back to our normal dreary jobs and, you know, live life, because it's really hard being stuck in a prison, which is, you know, prison in the most broad sense, because it's an island paradise. And I think that the prisoners, you know, duped the British a little when they came to Australia, because we came to Australia and they said, we'll make this a prison, and the prisoners went, yeah, all right, it's terrible, it's horrible. Where's the beaches again? Yeah, we'll have beer. It'll be great. Yeah, no, it's terrible. Just send us all here and we'll stay away from Britain. It's awful. And, you know, now it's a really good country.
So let me hang on a sec. I have to update this real quick. There it goes. Okay.
By the way, to answer your question, it's 2:45 p.m.
PM. Okay, because it's
a long way to go for the answer to that question, but we got there in the end.
But see, it's 2:45 p.m. on the 12th. It's January 12th there, right?
It is, yes, it is January the 12th.
Yeah.
2019.
See, it's 10:45 p.m. over here, but it's the 11th.
Well, just so you know, because obviously I am in the future, the robots do take over.
Okay, good.
You know, it's going to be fun. Just let them know that you have an iPod, right? Because as long as you have something electronic, they'll leave you alone.
Oh, good. I have a cell phone.
Took us a little while to work that out.
I have an iPhone. Does that qualify as an actual phone or device of technology?
Yeah, I mean, that works.
Bad Nation, what's up, dude? It's 9:45 for him. He wants to know what the winning lotto numbers are, if you have those.
What are the winning lotto numbers? 3.
4.
And that's it.
5.
No, just 3. They don't tell you that you only need one number. I don't know. I don't actually gamble.
I don't really.
There's so many people I know buy a lottery ticket every week or whatnot. I think the most heartbreaking was when I was dating someone years back, and they were in a low economic area, and like every week the mum and the dad would buy like, you know, $10, $5 scratchies or whatnot. And they'd always be talking about, oh, we're going to win and we're going to move out. And I'm like, no, save that $50. Spending that $50 is what's keeping you there. If you saved it, you know, over like a couple of years, you might be able to move.
Save it because you're going to need it. We have people who do that all the time here, man. Like,
I don't know.
I live in a town that's a really small town. It used to be decent. There used to be like 25,000 people here, and now I think there's like 9,500, and this is in a 15-year period. People have just like moved out. But I remember like when I was young watching people get off work, there's a factory here that's like one of the staple factories that keeps the town alive, kind of. A lot of those people would come in to this particular gas station, and they would drop like $400 on lottery tickets, and they would just sit there and scratch them all fucking day.
Yeah. It's not. I mean, we have a similar-ish problem with like Western Australia. We got all the mines and everything.
Yeah.
And basically, it's a fly-in, fly-out job, and people would go there, and they'd make a fair amount of money. You know, if you were smart about it, you could go in for like 3 months, come out, buy 6 new jet skis, and then go back. You know, 3 months later. That was basically the model. The problem was the people would always buy drugs and alcohol and gamble while they were there, so they'd go in for 3 months and come out just as broke as they were before, and it was not good.
Hey, my brother's here. Zach, what's up, dude? How's it going? Bad Nation. He says he gambles on me, so that's probably a good gamble to make. I'm pretty reliable. I appreciate the host, though, man.
I don't gamble. Sorry, I don't gamble at all. I don't think.
No.
No, I don't gamble. Lottery tickets, I don't do. I don't play. I don't think I've ever been to a casino. The only time I would ever gamble would be playing blackjack, but that's not really gambling, or poker. Both of those ones, but the reason I say that is because you don't have to gamble if you play those games.
Well, poker's fun. There's a little bit of strategy to it, and you get to bluff and do all that. But blackjack is the one gambling game where you have your highest odds of winning. So that's why it's so popular. That, and it's fun too. I have played blackjack.
Well, blackjack is also, you're playing against the house, and almost every other game you're playing against the other people at the table.
It's also kind of fun to. It's also kind of fun to screw the house too. So.
It is a little bit of fun, yeah. Unfortunately, though, the house doesn't really like it. They will take you out the back and snap your fingers if they find out about it, and then throw you out, which I feel is the really hard part about all of that. Because if you're going to snap someone's fingers, at least let them keep playing.
Right. Yeah,
you took payment.
My brother does gamble. He likes to go to the casino and stuff, but he also kicks ass too. I know he scratches off lottery tickets, and he always has to rub it in my face that he's like. He sends me pictures all the fucking time. He's like, dude, look, I just won $1,000 on this lottery ticket. I'm like, you know,
yeah, but I'm cool because I have a live stream.
Oh, Faith says those games are only fun if you really like math and probability. That's true.
Math and probability is fun. I know it sounds super nerdy to say, but that is actually fun.
You got a buddy that keeps finding winning scratch-offs on the ground? What the fuck? How does that randomly happen?
Magic.
I've never found a winning scratch-off on the ground ever in my life. Ever.
I've never found a scratchy on the ground. They're too valuable in Australia.
It's not
you
stupid.
Might win.
Everyone finds different things fun. Wait, who said it was stupid? No, it's not stupid. Math's not dumb. Math is tough, but it's not stupid. But
are we talking about maths or gambling? Because I probably said that gambling was stupid.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure.
No, I mean, if you're having fun with it, then go do it. Like, but if you're gambling because you think it'll let you win, that's sort of a problem, and that's sort of the trap that people get trapped in.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, they all those people in those low socioeconomic areas, they were spending $50 genuinely because they thought they would win, and that was the problem. But if you're doing it because it's fun, because you like the thrill of it, then, I play video games. I'm not really in a position to criticize someone scratching stuff off. I sit on my ass all day and make a tiny little pixel move around the screen. Do what makes you happy. But don't do it if you think it's going to make you millions of dollars, because it's not.
Not always. For the very few, it works out. For the very few.
Statistically, it's not going to make you millions of dollars. It might, but in terms of statistics, it's just not.
Yeah, it's not going to be my cup of tea for sure. I know where I stand on gambling and shit, but yeah, my brother, he said I won $1,600 off of $200 on blackjack, which he does all the time, dude. I don't want to hear his gambling bragging things, because all he ever fucking does is win. I won $2K off of $400 on your first honeymoon. Yeah, screw you, dude. How did this come up? We were talking about.
Just give him all of your money as an investment and get him to double it for you.
Oh yeah, true. have him invested
Yeah.
into my business a little bit for me.
Yeah, that's right. No, but I think counting cards would be it would be an interesting skill to learn. But it's so hard counting as quick as they flip the cards over. I've tried it.
I would imagine though, I've never tried it, but I've like seen it, like the process of it and what it takes. But it seems like just like anything else, you know, whether you play like Fortnite or whatever, that you know, it just takes practice, and eventually you get so good at
Oh
it, you
yeah,
can do it without thinking about it. Whoa, 100
yeah. I
biddies,
mean,
dude! Thank you for that. Thank you.
nice work, man.
I appreciate that.
I'm not sure that there's anything that you know, we talk about like skills and stuff. I don't think that there's anything that you can't practice and get good at. I don't like when someone talks about like, you know, they have a natural ability at this or that, because what that says to me is that I'm not going to try other stuff. You know, I know it
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
sounds weird, but the idea that like anyone can get good at anything if you try hard enough. But we all sort of look for that thing that we're naturally good at, but you're not going to be naturally good at something without effort. So all you got to do is find something you want to do, suck at it for a long time. Eventually, you'll get good. That's how you do it. That's how, like, if you want to learn to play the piano, the first time you touch a piano, you're gonna make a sound like a cat being beaten with a stick, right? That's what's going to happen.
Wait a sec.
But
So
you just have to push through it.
you're saying, so what you're telling me is that when you first try something out, you're gonna suck at it, but if you keep doing it, you will eventually get better.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
holy shit!
I mean, that's why I created my piano made out of cats and sticks, because you know, eventually I'll get better at it.
My
No, but I
brother
just think
practiced
like
for
this
months
idea that
counting cards. Oh my god. No,
yeah, exactly. That's
I don't.
hit my microphone. That's
Faith,
what
I
you
don't
got to
think
do.
he's bought my coffee yet. I don't think he's tried my coffee. Speaking of coffee, dude, have you tried my coffee yet? It's some good shit.
Have I tried your coffee?
Yeah. Did you know I had a? You didn't even know I had a coffee company, did you? You
You
bastard.
know you had some coffee.
You
I'm
bastard.
in Australia. We don't drink coffee.
Oh.
We drink despair. We have to, because it's the only thing that keeps us in check.
It's
Because everything else is so great.
it's good stuff.
We got
though.
sunshine. We got beaches. We're
Oh
far
my
away
god,
from
that's
it,
true.
so we don't get affected by anything. Like people say, "Oh, Euro's crashing and America's crashing." We're like, "All right,
So?
have fun with that." Yeah, exactly. So we have to all our food sucks, so that we don't, you know, get too big headed.
Okay, that's not true though, because I really want to try Tim Tams, and I've got a friend that's in
Oh,
Australia
yeah, no,
that I
yeah,
haven't.
you're right.
I
Tim
got a
Tams are fucking amazing.
Yeah, I got a couple friends over there, and every time I talk to them, I'm like, you need to hit me up with some Tim Tams. I'll pay the shipping. I'll buy it. Just send it to me. And they're like, okay, and then they never do. And I'm trying to find somebody that's going to send me some freaking Tim Tams because I want to try them.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll send it to you. I don't know how easy it is. I think sending food out of Australia is pretty easy. Importing food into Australia is really hard.
No,
Because
no,
we've
no.
got such...
I import coffee over there all the time, dude. I got people that order all
Oh,
the time.
if it works, it works. But like
Yeah.
you can't. I don't think you can easily import canned meat. Like just because we've got such stringent rules about
Good.
what can and can't come in and stuff.
Yeah.
Just because we've got such a fragile ecosystem, like one of the questions we get if you come into the country, they say, "Have you been, you know, to a farm in the last 30 days?" Because we're all farmers.
Really?
But you know, they have these questions, yeah, because if you bring seeds or, you know, stuff from other animals into Australia, it can affect the ecosystem really badly.
That's
Like
true.
look at cane toads. Cane toads have been a menace ever since they were brought in here. We've got the Indian minor birds, which are again a menace. Almost every imported species or animal or plant or anything has just run rampant and caused problems. So we get really strict laws about what can and can't come into the country.
I think I'm okay with canned meat not being imported into the country because nobody trusts canned meat anyway. It's not
No,
generally
I
the
think
best kind of
canned
meat that you
meat
want to
is
get.
If you're eating canned meat, you have a problem. Cook the meat yourself. I mean, I say that because I just remember there was a thing on ThinkGeek called unicorn meat or something, and
Ugh.
you couldn't import it into America, into Australia. Sorry.
Good. Sounds disgusting.
I didn't want it, but when it said you can't import it into Australia, I was like, why not? I want it right now. Just because I couldn't have it, I wanted it.
Right. Well, see, that's the millennial mentality that you just can't have. You can't have it. You can't fucking have it.
No. It just felt like we were being unfairly walled off. It's like someone had built a massive wall around our country, and
Okay. Okay, you know what? Listen up and listen real
yeah,
good, okay? Fuck you, buddy. You guys are gonna pay for your own wall. It's gonna be the best wall. Fuck you.
man, I just don't understand how, like, because Australia wouldn't need a wall because we're an island, right?
Right,
So
right.
there's water, so we basically already have a moat. But the thing is, Australia is so huge and everything's so far apart that you know, if you wanted to invade Australia, good luck, because you're gonna die of thirst before you get anywhere.
Okay,
You
but
know?
here's some good news though. Faith says, she said also Lax, they sell Tim Tams in America now. They expanded and have a factory making them here. Oh my
Ah,
god. I'm gonna buy
so
all
have
the
you?
Tim Tams. I'm gonna buy a Tim Tam factory.
Yeah, you need to do it, and then you need to do a Tim Tam Slam.
What is a Tim Tam slam?
Tim Tam Slam. All right, so a Tim Tam is that there. A Tim Tam is it's like a rectangle,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And what you do is I'm sure you know what it is, but it's like two biscuits with chocolate over them and a sort of soft chocolate filling, right? So it's a rectangle. What you do is you bite one corner and then you bite the opposite corner,
Okay.
right? And then you dunk it in tea and then you drink the tea through the biscuit like it's a straw because the chocolate, the soft chocolate will melt, and so it'll drink through the tea. That's a Tim Tam Slam.
Ah,
They're great.
okay. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
much of a tea drinker though. See, like
All
that's
right, do it with coffee then.
I,
It'll
I just might.
work.
I very well may. I very well may. That sounds good.
Literally any hot liquid, you know, it's all good.
Hot lava.
Hot lava would work great. I mean, you'd be dead at the end of it, but at least you did a Tim Tam Slam with hot lava. And frankly, in Australia, that would earn you a place in the Hall of Fame.
That's true. You guys do some pretty
Hall
crazy
of-
shit over there, man.
The Australian Hall of Fame is reserved for people who are idiots and do insane stuff. Because if you think about it, you know, apart from all the beaches, I know I said that it was an island paradise, but apart from all the coasts, Australia is basically, you know, it's hell. You know,
Yeah.
we live 3/4 of a mile away from the sun in a sun-blasted rock. There's nothing there. It's too hot. Like even in the city next to the ocean, it reaches 40 degrees. You know, so who thought that that would be a good idea? Oh yeah, we'll set up camp there and burn to death. That's why
So, like,
we're all insane.
historically, though, historically, is it true that originally Australia was set aside as a place to drop off convicts, and then it was just overpopulated and it just became what it is now? Like, is that like the real
Well,
story? Or
ever since you guys had what I think is referred to as a tiny little civil war with the British, and just you know kicked your socks off, we had to take the burden that you guys didn't want to. So you know we were like, yeah, we'll do it. It's all good. No, basically because you guys wouldn't take any more convicts, we had to. Australia was discovered, and that's where all the convicts went.
and see, we're kind of doing that now. It's happening all over again, except it's
Well, you're
localized.
taking more convicts.
We're starting to not take any more. We can't hold anymore. And
What are you talking about? You've got the most convicts of any country ever.
I know that's what I'm saying is we have so many that we're having trouble holding them. I used to
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I used to work in law enforcement, dude. I worked in law enforcement for like 10 years, and the problem that we always had, I worked in a smaller jail that could only hold a max of 72. There was one time in my tenure, that whole time, that it was we got it down to 50 inmates.
Jeez.
The most that we've had is 142 in a jail that holds 72. And now it's to the point where we have to send them to other jails because there's too many. We can't hold them. We have no room. Can't afford it. So it's happening everywhere. It's not just here. It is everywhere. It's the jails, it's the prisons, it's everything. Hey, Milo, what's up, dude?
There's places in Norway and sort of Scandinavia where they actually had to close prisons because there just weren't enough people. So that was fun.
Yeah.
And they had to move. They basically didn't have enough people in one prison, so they had to move all the people in that prison to a different prison and then close the prison.
Oh my
And they have the
God.
lowest reoffense rate in the world. So But every time I show anyone what like a Scandinavian prison looks like on the inside, whether they're in Australia or America, they get very, very angry about it.
That's because I've seen them and they look like they're fucking hotel suites.
Yeah.
They look
They're
like,
called the 5-star prisons of the
yeah,
world. Like,
yeah,
you know, I look at it here in Australia, and I'm like, that looks better than a place I could rent. You know,
it
it's
really
all
does.
provided.
It really does. And the problem with that, the reason why they can do that is because the citizens are taxed somewhere, what, like 60, by the time it's said and done. I think I talked to somebody from that region and they said it was something like 65% taxable rate by the time it's said and done. But that's why they
There
can
is
do
a
it.
lot of tax,
Yeah.
but they also get paid a lot more, and there are also a bunch more public services as well.
Yeah, but if they get paid more, they're going to get taxed more. If they get taxed more, they're going to be able to. It's just a revolving door, but ultimately, I mean, they can buy some cool shit, but
Yeah,
you know, you're.
I mean,
it's
you know,
so much money.
You get into it. It is a lot of money to tax, but at the end of the day, they don't pay, as far as I'm aware, they don't pay for like hospital bills. If you get sick or injured, you're not going to pay for that. You don't have to pay for education, which is a really good idea, by the way, because the number one thing you can do as a country to raise your GDP or anything like that is to educate the masses, educate as many people as you possibly can. Because what they'll do is they'll go into jobs that pull in a lot of money.
Right.
So all of this stuff, it is like you do pay at the point of getting your paycheck, you are paying 65%. And I agree, that's not, you know, it doesn't feel great. But at the end of the day, you are getting all this other stuff back tomorrow. And it's more looking at what's going to happen tomorrow than what's going to happen today.
Yeah, and see, I would totally be down for that because, you know, that's kind of like almost like an investor mindset. You know, you put away today for what you hope to make tomorrow, sort of deal. And
yeah.
I'm totally down doing that. I'm okay. I don't necessarily want to be taxed like 65, 70%. Maybe like max me out at like 50. I'm gonna hate it, but I know where it's gonna go to a good place. But
sure.
You see, the problem we have here in the States is that we have people who don't think that way because America is just it's a democratic republic, not necessarily capitalist, but people are all about what can I have? It's all about me.
Sure.
It's very Hollywood a lot of the time, and a lot of people aren't willing to come off of that. A lot of people don't want to do that because their mentality is, I worked for it, I earned it, I deserved it. Are they wrong? Not necessarily. But
I don't think they're wrong. I mean, if you did put in effort and work, then you are owed that.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
The idea that I worked and then didn't get anything out of it is insane. So I agree that if you work hard, you should get paid hard.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But at the same time, if you get injured, you shouldn't be in a position where you have to go bankrupt to fix that. And the only way to get past that is as a collective to pay for stuff. And I know that's socialism, but do it because it's good for you.
They tried that. I think they tried that a couple times. It's called Marxism, and it gets to that point where you have young mothers out in the fields picking up random grains of rice, trying to feed their kids because they gave it all away to the government. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple of times where it's failed, like, you know, Russia and all that. Although China's basically communist and they're doing really well. Although I wouldn't hold them up as a paragon of, you know, human rights and everything. Absolutely not. But, you know, with Russia, wasn't there like this huge war? It was cold or something to try and stop them becoming a world power.
I don't know, man. We get into a lot of stuff there. Boomslang Inc., thank you for the follow. But I don't know, man. We start getting into that, we'll start talking about moon landings, and we'll start talking about all kinds of crazy stuff in Cuba.
Really, have you seen Adam Ruins Everything?
Oh yeah.
He had an interesting thing on the moon landings, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, what do you say?
Well, he basically pointed out that they couldn't have been faked.
Why is that?
It's a lot to do with the shadows.
Sure.
The shadows are all in such a way that you would have to be either really far away from your light source, like the sun, or you would have to have a laser array, which they they could technically have, but in order to get a laser array with enough lasers and multicolored, because obviously the photos were in color, in such a big enough quantity, it would have bankrupted the US just doing that.
Well, see,
right? So there wasn't any way to fake it.
Here's kind of how I think of it when I think about what I think some people think about it being faked is they think that it was either one or the other. What I think some people believe is some people think that we went to the moon, and then there are some people who think that we didn't go at all. What I think is probably somewhere in between. And what I mean by that is, I know it sounds weird.
And halfway to the moon and said,
we got halfway and turned
enough.
around and said it got too scary. We got out of that radiation barrier and it got too bad. But no, here's what I mean. What I mean by that, man, is like, okay, so you know the story behind it, I'm sure. You seem well versed in American history and all things American and just general history, which is cool. But I would imagine probably if it looks like there's multiple light sources, I would imagine that the really, really smart scientists that are way smarter than me, who could engineer a rocket to go to the moon, probably said, let's put a rocket on the moon, and then let's put a spotlight on the rocket so they can see, because it's probably pretty fucking dark out there. We might want to do that, which is a possibility. I don't know. But the other part is, I don't know. I can't say we didn't go to the moon. I think we did. But what I think happened is, you know how they say, oh, the tapes got lost, right? Or they got taped over. The National Archive claims that the tapes were lost. The original moon landing tapes were. This is where the conspiracy comes from. Is that
sure.
We did the moon landing.
I actually didn't know that, but
yeah,
I didn't know the tapes were lost. But I know that it was broadcast around the world. So.
Oh yeah, it was definitely broadcast around the world. But later on, they used nitrate film, right? It's very flammable. It's that old school stuff.
Sure.
So what happened in, I think around like 72 or 74, a couple years after the moon landing, there was like a film shortage, right? So they ran out of all of this. I think it's like double-sided nitrate tape. I don't know.
Something like that. Yeah. Let's go with that.
Yeah. Well, either way, they ran out of it. They had a shortage, and I think probably somebody got confused, and they either taped over the moon landing tapes, or it was just thrown away, or it had just gotten bad. This stuff doesn't keep for very long. Who knows? But what I think they probably did is they figured out this. It's either one of two things. Either I think the film went bad and they had to chuck it out, and then they had to think of something quick, or what usually happens is anywhere that you work, no matter what job you do, there's always some idiot who's going to screw something up, right? So I think probably what happened is that guy was the dude who screwed it up and either threw away the tape, stole it, or ruined it altogether and said, oh shit,
don't need this anymore.
And then he said, boss, we got a problem. And so they came up with a plan after the moon landing to say, okay, we're going to have to refilm this, and we're going to have to call it the real thing. And then I think they probably did a really shitty job at reproducing some of the film that was lost, trying to cover that up, trying to cover up the fact that they did something really stupid. I would believe that more.
I mean, okay, if those films were lost, then my immediate suspicion would be this was, the height of the Cold War, effectively. And we know that the US had a bunch of plans with so there's a treaty that basically says you can't put nuclear and like biological weapons and stuff into space. So you can't just load up a satellite with nuclear bombs and then drop them on your enemy. But it doesn't say that you can't use conventional weapons. And I think it's Project Odin or Project Thor, and it basically involves having large rods. I can't remember quite which material they're made of, but they are very heavy, and dropping them from orbit. And by the time they get to Earth, I think they're going like Mach 6 or something like that, and they hit with the force of a proper explosive bomb.
Sure.
And so my guess is, and it is just a guess, just having been told that the tapes were lost. But if the tapes were lost or something like that, I guess it's not outside the realm of possibility. They were doing military studies to see what the effect of space was with, you know, stuff. And then obviously they can't show those tapes because you know, it's military, it's top secret.
Yeah, quote unquote top
So
secret.
you know they. So there's just sort of like I didn't know the tapes were lost, but at the same time, like, you know, the moon landing was broadcast from Australia, because I think we were the closest at the time.
Yeah.
And then it was broadcast around the world, and you know, there was, you know, the people in Russia picked it up themselves, and people in, I think, Britain also picked it up, as well as the US. But there were just so many people watching it and all this sort of stuff, and just, I mean, it's in the interest of the Russians to say it's fake.
Sure,
right?
sure.
But they haven't. So I just don't think that it's likely that it's fake. I think we did go to the moon, and I think we learned a lot of stuff, not just from the moon, but NASA. And I didn't know the tapes were faked, but I think there is a bit more than we know went on.
Well, I definitely don't doubt that we. I'm sure we went to the moon. I'm sure of that. I don't doubt that at all. But I also am not. I'm not so naive that I couldn't imagine that some idiot at work screwed up tapes and probably screwed up a really good thing.
Yeah, sure.
I think that's probably more likely. And then instead of having to broadcast to the world that your newly founded space station screwed up one of the best things that history has come to know ever, instead of having to face that demon, what they probably did was made a really stupid video to try to cover it up and looked a little less stupid.
Yeah, maybe. Although speaking of people screwing up at work, we actually have a really good example of that here in Australia, because so our major telco, an ISP provider, is called Telstra. There's a couple of others called Optus and all this other stuff, but Telstra. One day, I used to actually work for Telstra, and then I left, and then like a month after that, I heard, like, from ABC News, which is our news source, that the Telstra network had completely gone down across Australia.
You know what that is?
It turned out, well, yeah, it turned out that what had
because you
happened
left,
was
dude.
Yeah, that's what it was. No, it turned out it was one guy had accidentally plugged one cable into the wrong socket, and it took out the entire network across Australia. But the best part was, I messaged my friend while he was still at Telstra, and I said, "Hey, are you getting many calls and stuff?" Because I was on the help desk, and he said, "No, we're not getting any calls because no one can call through because the network's down."
Oh, great.
Yeah, so he was good for the day.
We have two really big problems, and they both seem to solve each other.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they did something similar, like a week later. Something else happened which took down a large portion of the network. But it was funny because what they did to make up for the loss of service across Australia was they made the internet free for a weekend. And by that I mean, if you had a Telstra service, you could download as much as you wanted without a cap.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And so this guy made really good use of it by downloading his entire Steam library and everything he could get his hands on. I think by the end of it, he downloaded like 5 terabytes of stuff.
Oh, nice. I took advantage
Just
of it too,
because,
I guess.
If you're going to,
if you can do it, you can do it.
That's right. So
just like that guy on Red Dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like the guy in Red Dead who fed the chick to the alligators. If you can do it, you can do it. Somebody's going to.
Oh, speaking of video games, though, have you played the Fallout games at all?
The last one that I played was Fallout 3, I believe. I
never played the Fallout games so much, but I've played Skyrim and stuff, which is run on the same engine as the Fallout games.
Yeah.
Fallout 76. Oh, it is not going good for Bethesda. They are.
I know.
They are not having a good time.
I know. I'm kind of reading the news, and I'm just like, oh my god, I dodged a fucking bullet.
Yeah, I mean,
Thanks for the bag, though.
Online. Yeah. I was considering because it was online. I thought that'd be really cool. It'd give me a chance to play with viewers and all that. But
Yeah.
I waited until after it was released, and I've seen the videos of people playing it, and it's so bad. Like, this is a large game company releasing a AAA game, and it
Yup.
looks like it was made by some guy in a basement. You know, that's the level that I'd accept the kind of shit that was going on.
Yeah.
And it was so awful. Like, there's enemy characters moving around without any animation. They're just doing that, game pose thing of arms out to the side and then just moving around and all that.
Oh yeah, what that always comes down to is a really big server issue. When you're either running on a shortage of servers, you can't transmit data. You get some screwy stuff like that happen. It happens all the time. No, Zach, right now we're talking about Fallout 76 and all the stupid problems they had, but but hopefully they get it fixed.
Sued.
Oh, I'm sure they probably already have. Yeah,
I can't remember what it was nylon, but yes, that's right. They promised canvas bags.
Yep.
And then they sent out nylon bags, and then people said, "Hang on, what's happened to the canvas bags?" That's what I bought. And their response was, "We decided not to go with the canvas bags because it was too expensive." And I was sort of like, no. I paid you money. Give me the canvas bags. And they were like, "Oh, well, here's the compensation, $5 worth of in-game currency."
Oh my
and
God, no way.
People did not accept that. They were like, no. This is a class action lawsuit waiting to happen. And so Bethesda went, "All right, we'll send the canvas bags if that's what you really want." It's not gone good for them. They're not having a fun time.
I would imagine, with myself, with me being a business owner, I would imagine that usually you want to sell products in order to receive what is called a profit, meaning that you set...
What's a profit?
Well, you see, it's this thing you set, like, let's say I want to sell this coffee cup right here. Actually, Faith got this for me. Thank you again, Faith. Say it takes me $2.50 to produce this cup. But if I'm going to want to exchange money for goods and services, I'm going to provide a service. I'm probably gonna sell this at $5-6, and the extra money that's made off of that difference is called the profit, which is what they didn't do. So
we don't know what a profit is in Australia because we don't have to worry about that because we're so far away from everyone.
Oh yeah, that's true.
There's just food everywhere, and it's like, what's the point? Just everyone eats.
Oh,
no, but
it is a large coffee mug. I just have really large hands. Okay, Faith sent me this as a gift, and it's cool. I use it all the time. When this one's dirty, I use my Dunder Mifflin mug, but she always makes fun of me because she's like 4'1" and she has really tiny hands, and I'm 6'4" and I have really large hands. And this is an 11-ounce mug, not like your standard 8-ounce mug. So my hands are pretty big, as you can see. And I'm sorry for those of you who are going to be listening to this later. Just imagine myself with really big hands wrapped around a coffee cup.
What would be funny is if it was the other way around. You're 6 foot whatever, and you have tiny hands, and she's 4 foot and has massive hands.
I joke. I know she's not 4'1", but she.
You're right. She's 3'2".
I make that joke often.
She's queen of the elves, and she often comes in and brings coffee mugs for everyone.
But as far as Red Dead, I don't know much about that either. I know Zach was asking, but Zach, have you played it? I got to hear your viewpoint on it, man. If you have, I know a lot of people really, really, really love it, but from the gameplay that I've seen, it really it seems like GTA 5 back in 1885. So.
Grand Theft Horse too. It's kind of cool. Like, I look at it and I'm like, yeah, all right, it's a functional game. At least the characters move correctly. But like it's just sort of the same model. But to be fair, Rockstar have sort of found their niche, and they're like, we're gonna keep doing this, and that's cool because we want more of this. He says, being able to run into a sandbox and blow shit up. That's the epitome of a Rockstar game. That's what we want.
He says it's so boring. He has to ride his horse for 30 minutes to vote somewhere. Yeah, it can be.
Yeah.
Let's call it Grand Theft Horse 6 San Antonio. That's what we'll call it.
No, apparently though there is actually a link between Red Dead Redemption 2 and I think Grand Theft Auto 5, or something like that. Because there's a time traveler mission. And I think you actually see him in Grand Theft Auto 5.
I'm
So
sure
that's actually pretty cool.
I wouldn't doubt it if they drop some Easter eggs between the two for sure. I mean, it's the same company and all that. I mean, that's what I would do.
They always drop Easter eggs, and they're actually pretty good at dropping Easter eggs and nodding at other stuff.
You can't even buy a good horse. I have heard that, but I've also heard that something in the game you have to do. You basically have to go around searching in one particular spot, and there's a white horse that's, from my understanding, really, really fast, like super fast, like obviously faster than all the other horses in the game that you can get or buy, but you have to steal it, and it takes a while too. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I have yet to play it. I do want to try it, but I don't know.
My understanding is I go near Michael's house and then I steal a car and I drive that because fuck horses.
Yeah. See, what I hope they do though, what would be really cool thing about this is that, like, they basically went back in time, essentially to make Red Dead. They haven't made another Grand Theft Auto yet. Because the GTA 5 that they made basically took place in real time, Los Angeles, California.
So Grand Theft Auto in the future.
Well, either that or, meet in the middle and, do something like Mafia, where it took place in the 50s, and find a way to tie the three games together, make one giant long universal story that ties in with all of the games, and everybody's minds are just blown, and they're like, oh my god, this ties in here, this ties in with Red Dead, this ties in with 1950 GTA, this ties in with GTA 5, and then, everybody's just going crazy about it. That's what I would do. I'd scheme and make a really cool plan like that.
Maybe, but didn't they already do that? Isn't the detective game a Rockstar game?
I have no idea. I've never played it.
I can't remember, but it sort of plays like a Rockstar game in a way, although you have a very clear objective to find murderers.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I'm pretty sure that is a Rockstar game. But I reckon in space, that'd be pretty cool, actually. I don't know how you'd make it work, but
I don't know. I haven't played those games, so I'm probably just talking out my ass. But it sounds like a cool plan.
Two of us.
Sounds like a cool plan.
Yeah, I don't know, because it just, with all those games, you always sort of, it seems to ramp up and ramp up, and you get bigger guns and more explosives and all this sort of stuff. And
yeah,
so I mean, I don't know how you can get bigger and more gunnier than going into the future, because those people will have guns that blow up entire planets from a tiny little pistol that goes pew pew.
Oh.
That's what those people have.
Yeah, I think they tried to do that with a game, and it turned out that it didn't work out very well.
I think they've tried to do that with a lot of games.
That game is sick. I never played Noir. I heard a lot of good things about it, but I never tried it. Your character in Bully is actually your Red Dead character's great-great-grandson. Confirmed. I'm going to believe you because I have no fucking clue. But
yep.
Sure, that sounds great to me.
Okay,
I mean,
why not?
I totally believe you.
I mean, that'd be pretty cool. I think they would tie in.
It would be cool.
Easter eggs and everything together.
It would be cool. I just literally have no clue. I have no idea about that at all. I'm very selective about my games. Like, I grew up on when I was a real young kid, I grew up on like Super Nintendo mainly. So I was playing like they had a really cool WWF game for Super Nintendo, but I grew up with like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Turtles in Time. Top Gear was a really cool racing game. We moved in eventually in like 98 to like PlayStation 1, where I played a lot of Metal Gear Solid, a lot of Tekken. Cool Borders was cool. Hot Shots Golf was really, really cool. And, then we get into all the stuff like, oh, I play Fortnite and blah, 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 blah. But,
sorry, I just got hung up on the fact that you said that you had a WWF game.
Yeah.
And
oh, yeah.
I immediately just imagined someone trying to collect money to save pandas.
Oh, I was ridiculous at Killer
World
Instinct.
Wildlife Fund.
Dude, I'm still ridiculous at Killer Instinct, by the way. I played it the other day. I've got it. I've still got it. I play it. I'm still ridiculous at it. It's just, you have to memorize the combos and all that stuff. And once you get those down and bang them out, just like in Tekken, you know, I did that too. Kicked ass in Tekken. Once you memorize the combos, you're good to go.
I can't remember. Because I think I was 95 was when I was born. So I think it was the sort of the PlayStation 1 generation. But I actually didn't have a game console until I was much older with the Wii. And I was only bought that because it was for exercise. And so I would exercise by sitting on the sofa and doing fuck all. And then I moved out of home and bought a computer like a proper person. And I've never regretted it since. But no, I didn't really have a console. We didn't even have a TV up in my dad's house in the mountains.
Yeah.
Which was fun. And it's actually really weird going to another country now, because in Australia they're called the Blue Mountain, and they're pretty much the only mountain range we have. Everything else is just flat. But it's called the Blue Mountains because when you look at them, they actually are blue. And when you look out at most of Australia, it is actually blue. And the reason for that is because we've got gum trees, and the oil from the gum trees comes out and it makes everything look blue. Right, so you go to another country and you look at the mountains and they're green, and an Australian will look at them and go, "No, something's not right here. That should be blue." It's so weird.
So we have alien mountains, basically, is what you're saying.
We have. That's right. That would have freaked out people coming from England and going, "Wait a minute, why is the sea green and the mountains are blue? Fuck it, we've gone to opposite land."
It's because you're on the underside of the world.
Yeah, we walk on our heads.
See, here's the conspiracy, man. The Earth is actually flat. You're just on the underside. So everything that sinks, like from the oceans up here, sinks down. So all the bad green shit stuff, seeps through the ground, and that's why the water's green.
Bad shit stuff. I'll have you know, sir, that Australia is fantastic. We have all the good green shit stuff that comes through.
There's a lot of cool shit in Australia, man. There really is.
There is a lot of stuff.
Who else has kangaroos, right? I mean, nobody else is known for kangaroos.
No, I think they tried to have some in Britain, but they died because they couldn't. The climate just wasn't right. Well, that's a really weird thing. Other stuff comes to Australia and it fucks up our wildlife, and our wildlife go to other countries and they fuck up too. Australia is very fragile in its sort of ecosystem.
I'll see what I think happened with Australia. No, go ahead. You're fine. Go ahead.
So being in Australia is really cool because you've got all this stuff and all this nice stuff is there, but then you realize that there's a couple of key things that are missing, and the question becomes: do I give up all of the nice stuff I have for that key stuff, like fast internet or access to movies? Right? the American Netflix has got a lot more stuff, and our internet sucks, right? And so we're sitting here like, yeah, it's an island paradise, and I really don't want to move, but at the same time, I'd like to watch Netflix really fast. It's a toss-up.
I moved out of Australia just for the Netflix.
Yes, right. And it's, playing video games in Australia is actually really difficult, because if I play on an American server, I guarantee I'll have a ping of about 200.
Oh, dude, that's what one of my friends says every time, because we used to play Destiny together all the time. Yeah. And he had so many frustrations with it because he would just lag out. And we always knew when he was going to lag out because his mic would start to break up. And it was like it would just ramp up. You could hear it crackle every 30 seconds. And then you're like, oh, shit, here we go. Yeah. And then it just starts speeding up and he'd start, and then he's just gone.
Exactly. It's so bad. But at the same time, it's like I have so much nice stuff going on here that it's not worth it, but I'd really like it,
It's not worth it, but it's a hell of a fucking convenience.
Yes, I know it's not worth it, but it's damn close to being worth it. I don't think I would live in another country genuinely. I've thought about going to America, although I'd be shot on my stance on guns. I've thought about going to other countries and everything. And I thought, people say, go to Germany because it looks beautiful and everything. And I think I would visit Germany because it looks beautiful, and I think I would meet the people, and that'd be really cool. But I don't think there's anywhere like Australia for me. growing up in Australia, it's just there's a culture and there's a look about the place that I don't think I'd be able to find anywhere else in the world. And because I've grown up around it, it's just not just what I like, but what I need. So
Yeah.
otherwise, it just feels weird anywhere else. So Australia's got a bunch of problems, but I don't think there's anywhere else I would stay.
I don't know. I don't know. Hang on, I got a lot of comments here. We gotta go over. Ooh, Legend of...
let's look through them.
Did you ever play a game called Legend of Legaia for PlayStation? It is an amazing game, dude. It came out. It's kind of... It's like turn-based gameplay. You basically go on a journey with 3 people and you battle some monsters and you kick some ass, and it's really, really cool. It's a kick-ass game, dude. Not a lot of people know about it. I loved it. My brother and I played the shit out of it. But it's super fun. If you've never played it, you're gonna want to check it out. I don't know if you still have your PlayStation. I do. I have access to that game too, so it's super cool. Games are meant to be enjoyed by a wider audience now. There are plenty of games that I find really, really difficult that others would find super easy. I think I can say the same thing for that too.
Actually, you know what's interesting? I think it was a choice in the 80s or something where video games were going to be a boys' toy. But before that, video games were like an everyone. And then they started targeting the male audience for video games.
No, it's actually... It's the other way around. Video games were actually more popularized by females. Female gamers outweighed male gamers in the 80s. I think it's either 3 or 4 to 1. Complete fact, totally true. You'll have to go check that one out. No, I'm serious.
I find that when someone has to say complete fact, that it's generally not a complete fact. That's one of Donald Trump's lines, isn't it?
No, I don't think so, but it is true. It is definitely a fact.
All right, no, I'll take your word for it.
It's definitely a fact. And then what happened was basically they couldn't find a way with all the games to get males involved in the gameplay, because basically, essentially you're losing out on half the market there. When it comes to guys and girls, you're losing half the market. And
hello, someone in your background there.
Yeah, that's my wife. So she'll probably say hi to you. I don't know.
No, that's interesting, because I was always the story I saw anyway was basically that it was about even, and then they just started targeting males because they thought that it was going to sell better.
They did, because they weren't selling them very well, and so that's where you start to get into games like Doom and Contra back in the day. They started making games that were heavily geared toward guys to bring in the male market, and once that happened, an explosion of dollars came into the market, and they were like, hey, we're making a lot more money now than we ever were, and so they just started pushing that market, and it slowly developed into a male-dominated market, which is whatever. Girls aren't interested in shoot 'em ups or whatever at the time. Whatever, understandable. They didn't have a lot of games in the 80s and 90s that were specifically made for male or female or whatever. But now we're, after, we went down this road like 10 years ago. I remember specifically when I was, I want to say like 14 or 15. I remember reading a lot of articles about people being upset because there weren't a lot of games at the time out that were made for things that females were interested in. And then now we have the development of iOS and Android, and basically that market, mobile games, are dominated by females, because you have games like Bejeweled and Candy Crush, games that aren't necessarily like FPS competitive sort of games. Women statistically tend to love those, and they gravitate toward those, and that's where the biggest market is for mobile games, is actually for female.
I think that's true. I think the demographic for at least the Facebook games, I think the people who develop those Facebook games know that something like 90% of people are not going to buy anything from the game. But the demographic that will are middle-aged women who stay at home.
No, you're exactly right.
That was the demographic. And they would drop something like, I think, average of about $200 each.
Yeah.
On these, on these games. And it's insane.
It is.
Because I can't imagine dropping $200 on a Facebook game. But that being said, I can imagine dropping $200 on like a first-person shooter game like PlanetSide, which is the one I like. So it's not like it's insane dropping that much money. It's just I don't like that demographic, not the demographic, the game so much. No, I hate the demographic. No,
screw your demographic, man.
Unacceptable. It's not like I have a mother or anything. No, it's the game I don't like because I just find it very repetitive, and you're just doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Which, you know, to be fair, with a first-person shooter, you're sort of doing the same thing over and over again. Aim at someone's face, pull the trigger.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit different.
Grind for loot. I mean, yeah, you did drop $200 on this channel, and I appreciate it every day, dude. Thank you very much. Boomslang.
Oh, okay.
Boomslang says, quote, I don't like the middle-aged housewives, quoting you.
Yeah. No, it's
Got him.
It's gonna be good. That's gonna haunt me for the rest of my life.
Oh, Fox, what's going on, dude? Lurking and listening. I appreciate it. But I forgot what I was gonna say after I read that comment.
By the way, I think Zaximus dropped 100 bits on channel a little while.
Oh shit, yeah, he did. Again. Dude, thank you. My god, I was too busy laughing. I was too busy laughing. That was funny. That's okay. So wait, what were we just talking about? Because I totally lost my train of thought, dude.
We were talking about the fact that there's going to be a news report that's going to come out on some leftist liberal website that's going to say, with me, a big picture of my face with the quote, I hate middle-aged housewives. And I'm going to have to explain myself that, no, I misspoke. And they're going to be like, no, it was Freudian. He really does hate us.
You're going to catch it
on
the...
them feel better about themselves.
You're going to catch it on the world news tomorrow. Oh, this just in. Winterborn117 hates middle-aged housewives. What's next? Cats?
At that point, I'll just double down and just be like, yeah, I do. And then I'll just stay on the news forever by saying incredibly stupid things.
He said he hates the housewives, and now he said he hates their cats. This is an outrage.
I mean, that's how Logan Paul stays relevant. He just does stupid shit. And people keep going, oh, it's terrible. How could he still be famous? While sharing all his content. It's like, I can tell you how he's still famous. It's not that hard to work out, really.
It's not very hard to be stupid and get notoriety for it for a little bit. I can't, in good faith, I can't follow that dude or anything that he does because it's just not entertaining to me.
I don't even know. I've seen the videos that he got in trouble for. And the first one where he did the thing in the suicide forest, like that was stupid filming. That
was so stupid, dude. That was so stupid. But at the same
time, like his reaction, I actually don't think his reaction was necessarily that bad. Because I think it was just one of those things where it was like you're confronted with this thing, and one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to burst into tears and cry and scream, or you're going to laugh at sort of not the absurdity of it, but it's just one of those things where you either have to be terrified or laugh in the same way that you laugh on a roller coaster while you're plummeting towards the earth. You know, it's just one of those things where it's either or of those reactions. And unfortunately, he gave the laughing reaction on camera. You know, that's the problem there.
I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, and even in his case, I like to give him the benefit of the doubt. And what I mean by that is, while I think he is an idiot, I think, to use some of your words here, is he shot that plane into the air, and as he was flying, he knew it was going to burn down on the way down and blow up into a fiery flame. So on the way down, he was all shoulders pulled to Jim Halpert, and he said, well, let's make it funny, I guess. And
yeah.
I think it's just not funny. No, you're fine. It's just stupid. I can't back that guy up.
Faith says it best. Yes, gut reaction, but he was dumb enough to put in the video. And that's that's where my argument does fall apart a little bit. Like, okay, so his reaction, but if that's genuinely, then don't put it up online cut that bit out of the video.
Yeah,
You know,
but he would have
fair enough.
he would have wasted all that money on the trip and
Oh.
viewership, and he's like, I'm gonna do something nobody else has ever done, and I'm gonna get so famous off of it. There was probably a lot of temptation reaching out and saying, use it.
Oh, of course.
And he was like,
'cause,
all right, dude, I'll use it. It's gonna be great.
well, with YouTube, you've constantly got to be pushing the boundaries of what's acceptable, and get that shock so that you get to the top of the homepage for everyone, so people will watch it. I get the temptation, but at the same time,
I get the temptation, dude. But like, you have to have conscience. You have to
Sure.
make a conscious decision to sit there and think to yourself, yes,
That's
I
okay
understand
to
that this is
YouTube,
outrageous,
yeah.
but is this going to be okay for me to do? Like, is this
Yeah,
going to be
yeah,
okay? Do I want to be the guy that filmed a bunch of dead people? Like,
that's not a good name to get for yourself. Like, I get it, because there's a temptation when I walk into a store. There's a temptation. Oh, I could steal all the Twixes and eat them, but I probably shouldn't. And then I don't, because I pay for the Twixes because I have a job and I have money.
oh, so it's an ethics versus morals thing. I get it.
No, I just mean, like, his reaction. I understand his reaction, but all of the other bullshit, putting it up online, that was where the problem is.
Yeah, no, it's not
So-
cool. I just did. Yeah, you're right. Faith's totally right. I've thought about that a couple times too myself, and regardless of the situation, I think it was stupid, and I think it was a dumb decision, and he paid for it, and he's
Yeah,
probably
of
still
course.
paying for it anyway. But like Faith said, it's not just dead people, but there are suicide victims there, and that's where people go to do that, and that's not something that needs to be exploited. Kind of like the stupid thing that we like to do here when we have shootings and things. They put the shooter all over the national news and blow it up like they're a superstar, and the people who do that kind of shit, that's what they want, and that's why they do it, because they know they'll get on the news. And there's something very rarely you'll very rarely
I'm not sure
hear.
that's true.
No, it's
I'm not sure that's true, because
it's
a
very
bunch
true.
of the time with the school shootings, I don't know if they want fame, because there was the one guy, was it Columbine? I think it was Columbine, where they were basically just bullied kids, and they'd reached the end of their rope. Now, I'm not saying that it's a good thing or that you should do it, but they weren't trying to be famous.
No,
They were just sick of all the bullshit that was coming at them.
I don't think fame is probably the word I want to use. That was the first word off the top of my head. I think notoriety would be a better word to use, is that they want to be known for something, whether it be good or bad.
Sure, but I mean, I don't think that the fame or the notoriety or whatever, I don't think that comes to them. I think it's the act itself. They're getting revenge on the people who have treated them badly. Now, if you're a guy who just walks up and starts shooting people in a mosque or whatnot, yeah, okay, that's about notoriety, I reckon. There was the guy who went into a black church and started shooting up. He was a white supremacist or whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was about notoriety. I get that.
Absolutely.
But I think in a lot of those school shootings, it actually is a kid who's generally been bullied really badly. And speaking as a kid who was bullied really badly, I mean, I don't have a gun. I don't have access to firearms.
Right,
and
right.
I didn't go and shoot up my school. But I can sympathize with why they wanted to. I can't support the action, but I can sympathize with how they felt.
Yeah.
Because it does feel hard. It's physically hard to walk yourself to school every day when you know people are going to be shit to me, and it's going to be a shit day, and it's going to be another shit day, and tomorrow's going to be a shit day, and the day after that, and eventually you're going to get to the breaking point where they say, fuck it, fuck you, fuck me, and shoot everything. If you have access to firearms, they're going to do it.
And it's not even necessarily that, though. I think coming from the law enforcement perspective, I mean, a lot of the shit you're saying is correct. A lot of the stuff you're saying is right. I'm not discrediting any of it. Like, I'm not discrediting the whole thing. A lot of the stuff you say is right, but like the stuff with like Columbine specifically, yes, that came from a bad negative place. That came from a lot of negative shit.
Sure.
And that was very clearly proven to not be about like notoriety or fame or anything like that. But we do have a lot of cases where that is unfortunately the case. And that's the shitty thing. And what we've seen and what I've seen from I'll give you an alternative perspective here.
Go for it.
And I won't I can't and won't give out any specifics, but we
Of
have
course.
had, so for example, we've had some people do some really shitty stuff that have been arrested and have hit the news, whether it be local or whether it be national. It's happened. Um, and what happens is we see these people that do these things get in the media somewhere. Whether it was ill-intentioned or not, and whatever purpose was behind it or not, we usually see these people who catch wind of the media storm, and they look at these people and they decide for some reason that they want to love this person. So
Sure.
what we see a lot of times, in at least from that perspective, is we would get a lot of mail to one particular person of a lot of people who are enamored with that person because they saw them on the TV, and they think that that's something, regardless of what they did, they think it means something cool. I don't know where that mentality comes from, but that's where you can pretty clearly discernibly say that is the media's fault. That is the news's fault for painting that person in a perspective that makes it desirable for other people to want to reach out and pursue some sort of emotional relationship with somebody who did something terrible. And
Of course.
that is not cool. And they need
Oh,
to not
absolutely.
glorify that shit. And that's kind of, I think, the problem that Jake Paul had, is that a lot of people felt like he was making fun of and belittling a situation that was terrible, like Columbine, where people
Yeah.
felt a lot of
Yeah.
negative shit and did something terrible about it. And that's where that mix-up comes from. And I don't understand it. I don't think I ever will, because I can't get into that mentality because it's just not me. Um,
Sure.
but for
No,
other
I think you're
people,
right about that.
it's hard to say, but it's, regardless, what it comes down to is it's terrible. It shouldn't have happened, and specifically with Jake Paul, he should have been fucked for it, in my opinion. That's just something that you don't do. But
Yeah, no. Of course, they should have been harder rule.
the only thing
But I
that
mean,
I can
with all
do
that,
is not watch him. So that's what I do.
yeah,
You know.
of course. With all that, because my family, on my father's side anyway, is largely Norwegian.
Yeah.
There was a incident. I don't know if you heard about. It was July 22nd, I think, 2 or 3 years back, maybe 2013 or so.
That's my brother's
But it was
birthday.
with oh,
Weird.
cool. Yeah, I don't think he wants to be known for this particular day.
Probably
It
not.
was Anders Breivik,
Mhm.
who was a like a white supremacist and stuff, who went onto an island near Oslo, that was being used as a summer camp,
Mhm.
and basically unloaded, a semi-automatic rifle and pistol and all this stuff on them. He blew up a government facility, and then while all of the police and emergency services were distracted by that, went onto the island and started shooting at kids.
Jesus.
And he was caught, um, and he was tried. But the first part of it was to attack, because he saw those kids as the kids of like the political elite, and so he was trying to fight against them,
What?
which is whatever. That's stupid. But that's why he was doing it. But then the second part was that he wanted to get caught and get taken to court so that he could basically give his, white supremacist speech live on TV in court, where, people couldn't stop him and all this. But what I like about this story, because it's so terrible what happened, but there is a light of hope in it, in that throughout all of this, people were very angry. They were incredibly angry with Anders
Sure.
Breivik
Sure.
for all of this stuff, and the entire country effectively wanted him dead. And this is a country that does not have the death penalty, right? And they strongly believe that they shouldn't have the death penalty, and they wanted him dead. So that's sort of the level that we're working at here. But they all came together and said, we can't let one terrorist, because that's what he was, we can't let a terrorist destroy our legal system. We still have to give him the rights that our legal systems give. We still have to try him. We cannot, because if we give up what makes our legal system good, if we give up our human rights, then we're just not just as bad as him, but you know what I'm getting at. Like, we lose that fight. And so even through all that hardship, they were able to keep what made them great and better than that guy. And I think it showed the strength of the Norwegian people to be able to do that in that situation and be tried like that and still hold on to their beliefs and their values. And still, let this person go to court without, shooting him on the way in. Because I can understand that drive of not just the parents, but, any of the people who are affected by it. Don't let him go to court and deal with it.
Yeah, and
but they did, and that's important.
I don't know, man. It's just no matter what way you cut that pie, no matter what way you slice that pie, it's terrible all the way around.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not.
And it was an awful thing that happened.
Yeah.
Like there's no way around the fact that this was awful.
Yeah.
But they held strong, and they didn't give in to the temptation of letting everything that they held go.
I think that's kind of the difference there, between people. It was always the difference between at least law enforcement and the criminals, and I think it kind of plays in that same sort of light. There is that we have this thing called a thin blue line. It's that thin line you walk between generally, safety and danger, and all things revolving around law enforcement or whatever. But I think it more so applies. The way I always looked at it for me was that, unfortunately, in order for you to be, I think, a good officer, I didn't work the roads. I was in the jail, but it still applies. I think in order for you to do your job effectively, you have to be able to, in some sort of way, shape or form, think as a criminal would. Meaning you have to get yourself into that perspective and think, what would I do or what would they do in this situation? And you have to have that mindset.
Absolutely.
But that's where the line comes into play between, the difference between, the good and bad there is the intent. Is that, well, I could think about all kinds of stupid shit in my head. I don't have the intent or will or want to do those things, whereas they would. And, there's the difference there. But I don't know, man. I've never once ever in my life felt like, man, I just want to take my gun and shoot this person over here just because they looked at me funny. Like,
sure. We don't have access to firearms, which is lucky in Australia, because I'm exactly the kind of person who would mess around with his gun and accidentally shoot himself in the foot. I wouldn't shoot anyone else. I'm just saying I would have my gun and then it would go off. I'd be like, my foot's gone. It's okay. The Australian government will pay for me to get it repaired.
I did have one friend, I'm not going to say this person's name, shot himself in the leg in his chair in his own place of residence while playing with his gun. He thought it would be funny to spin it around on his finger, shot himself in the leg.
No.
And then I also had another friend, a very good friend of mine, happened to be drinking and did something stupid and did a similar thing. Basically, I'm going to use my knife for this scenario just so you can kind of see. We'll just pretend this is a gun. This isn't a gun, Twitch, don't ban me. But
help, he's threatening us through a camera.
I'm using it because I can spin it around on my finger, similarly to a gun.
I have one of those. They're cool.
Yeah,
they're cool.
This is my Karen bit. I love it. But he had a gun. He had been drinking. He had been at a party. Decided to spin the gun around like a rootin' tootin' Western cowboy. Yeah, rootin' tootin'. Pow! Right up the chin, right out the side of the face. Lived through it.
He's lucky to be alive.
Yeah, he's very lucky to be alive. He's a really good as hell guy, though. Super cool dude. Love him to death.
Yeah.
But we were all really...
yeah. But that's one of the things, like in Australia, because there are actually a couple of gun deaths that happened fairly recently, by which I mean like 6 months ago. But it was sort of like, there was one guy where the dad went insane and killed his family, which was horrible. But there was another one where it was like a mob boss came out of the gym. Some hit guys ran up, shot him, and then ran off. And it's sort of like, you look at that and you're like, that is kind of terrifying that someone had a gun. But at the same time, it sort of proves relatively how safe you are in Australia, because in order to be a viable target for a gun shooting, you have to be a mob boss for it to be worth someone to buy a gun on the black market and come and attack you. If someone's going to attack you in Australia, it's probably going to be with a knife or a stick or a leaf, you know, it's not going to be a gun.
That's a leaf. Actually, I think the problem that
Hey man, it's no joke. Australian leaves are dangerous.
everything in Australia is dangerous.
That's right. It's probably a snake, you know.
Um, I think one of the major problems right now, if I remember right, do not quote me as factual, people. Also, Miguel, thank you for the follow, by the way. I appreciate that, dude. But I think, I emphasize the word think. The problem in the UK is that they're having issues that since they are getting rid of all their firearms, the issue is that they're having an explosive amount of stabbings going on to the point that I believe legislation is now considering banning knives. I believe.
Yeah, you know, if you take away guns, there are going to be more stabbing. People are going to change over, but there are going to be less deaths overall. But the thing is that in Britain, even the police don't carry guns, which is, apart from like special weapons officers, the normal bobby does
Yeah.
not carry a gun.
Yeah, the normal, your normal non-striped out, just your everyday road officer does not have access to one. But I believe, I want to say either the sergeant or the lieutenant has one. They do not carry it, but it is locked in their vehicle, and they have to get approval from like 3 different people up the tier to unlock it and even use it or even pull it out.
Okay. I'm not sure about that one, but I know they have special units that have to sign in and sign out weapons when they're taking them off.
Yeah.
Yeah, which makes it a bit hard when you're a police officer. Stop, or I'll blow my whistle again.
I think ultimately, some people are against guns. That's fine. It's whatever. I'm personally not. Obviously, I'm not gonna be. I'm used to be in law enforcement and stuff. Not just because I'm an American, man. It's
no, it's so good.
It has nothing to do with that, man. I think it comes down to being sensible and having just common sense with anything else. Any fucking thing else. Is I could crash my car into somebody just as easily as I could shoot somebody. If I wanted to do it, I would, but I don't want to, don't have the inclination, don't feel like being an idiot with the stuff that I own because I value the things that I own. I like my car, I like my property, I like my things. I
completely agree with you. Like, you know, the majority of people with guns are not going to do something bad.
No,
you know,
they're not.
It's a country of 300 million or something like that. Like, you only hear about it once a month or something. So it's not like it's every person out there. It's just one guy, and so I think most people are fine with it. They're fine with their guns. Most people are sensible. And all of this. The thing about Australia, though, I just wanted to mention, right? We can't buy guns easily. The number of guns that you actually can buy, even if you get an Australian gun license, which is hard to get in the first place, but the number of guns you can buy are basically limited to pistols, rifles, and shotguns.
Sure.
And of those rifles, they're like low caliber. You can't buy, you know, like a 7mm gun or whatnot. They're all low caliber stuff. But anyway, it's hard to get those. You even need a gun license to have a paintball gun, and in order to have that, you need to have a safe that's bolted to the ground. All this stuff. They don't want people to have access to firearms. However, that being said, I can and have bought a 45-pound hunting bow without any background check. And here's the kicker: I bought that and had it sent to the government facility that I was working for at the time. I could have easily put that bow together and just gone on a rampage with it.
Sure, you could with
no
anything
checks
else.
No checks on it. I'm like, what? Hang on, why are we checking the guns but not the bow? Like, surely we should do one or the other, like both, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean,
so
even so, there grab a stick and start whacking people too. I mean, it doesn't matter, dude. It doesn't matter. But I think
that's not an attack in Australia. That's a game. That's just what we do to pass the time.
I think I did that as a kid a couple times too. When you get bored,
ran into a government facility and started smacking people with a stick.
Nah, you just run around all your friends, tag your it, smack right upside the head. Whoops. You weren't supposed to hit. You weren't supposed to hit me in the head. That was against the rules. Oh, sorry, dude. Fuck your head.
No,
dude.
no, it wasn't the head. The head was, you know, you tried to aim away from the head. The real part that hurt was the fucking hands. If you had a sword fight with someone and they smacked the stick into your hand, that hurts so much.
Dude, for me, it was always the shins. always the fucking shins. I get kicked in the shins,
Why are
hit in
you
the
hitting
shin.
someone in the shin?
Because it hurts like a bitch. Have you ever been kicked in the shin? Are you kidding me?
I've been kicked in the shin, but if you smack someone in the leg with you smack someone with a stick in the shin, it hurts. But if you smack someone in the hand, right, then they can't hold the stick, and they've got to switch over to their bad hand, and then you beat them and beat them and beat them.
I think that's called aggravated battery, sir.
No, not if you're a child. If you're a child, it's called a game.
If you're a child, that's called ADHD, I think.
Yeah, that's right. And you get some pills for it, and then you go back to being
you're
productive.
okay. Then you can focus and you clean your entire room in 1 hour. Hey,
No,
Nick,
I
what's
still
up,
wouldn't
buddy?
clean my entire room in an hour.
But what I was gonna say, just real quick, and we can
Sorry,
change
yes.
subjects. I'm obviously not against guns. I'm not gonna be. I think it involves common sense, just like anything else. But I would never be against banning guns. I will be against that. I'm not ever gonna be okay with that. I don't think that's a solution. But I think that offering a class that could either be mandatory for you to buy a specific gun. For example, you have to go through a certain class if you want to buy an AR, to learn how to use it, to learn how to clean it, to learn how to take it apart, to learn how to take care of it and use it like a tool. I believe that would be a smart thing to do, because you have to have a license to have your kid. It's called a birth certificate. Otherwise, you go to jail. You have to go to classes. You have to go to classes to learn to drive a car. You have to get training to have a job. And you have to get training while on said job to move forward in your job, because they give you tools to succeed in your life. I'm not saying use your gun to succeed in life by shooting people. What I'm saying...
This will fix the problem.
No, you're not my boss now.
I'm the boss.
But I would totally be okay with a... I don't want to say mandate, because I think that's a stupid word, but I think that's probably going to have to be the solution, is that if you want to buy a gun, you got to take a class, and you have to learn how to use the gun like it's a tool and not like it's a weapon, because a lot of people in America still use guns to hunt, and that's how, not predominantly, but it's still a really, really huge way how a lot of people get and acquire their food in the United States. A lot of people don't know how big it is, but I think there's something like 14 million hunters in the United States out of 300 million people. That's a lot of people hunting, and a lot of people have to do it to survive. They have to, and that's one concern to think about, is that if you take the guns away, essentially you're taking away how people are going to get their food. And a lot of people that are really, really totally against guns are going to say, well, they could use a bow. Well, they could, use a... No,
but
dude.
they could use a bow.
Have you... I'm going to give you a bow, and I'm going to go let you hunt a bear.
One. I told you I ordered one.
Well, you take that bow, and you go hunt a bear, and you see how that works out for you, and then decide if you want to try the...
That's just, it's called, oh, what could I hunt? Oh, there's the rabbit over there. Or I could hunt the 1-ton killing machine. Yeah, that's a good idea.
But see, here's the other thing to think about.
I mean, look, and to be completely honest with you, like, I get that it's a strong part of American history. I get that it's part of the, frontier mentality, and it's a huge part of your history. I mean, you guys fought against the largest power in the world, and won, really, right. And so I get that it's a huge part of the history. I'm in Australia and we don't have guns, and so of course I'm going to be on the side of saying maybe don't have guns. And I know that you and I are probably not going to see completely eye to eye, but I can empathize that it's important, and it's not just important to you like personally, but it's also important historically. And you have that reason, because the last time you needed guns was because you had a tyrannical government basically taking taxes out of you for nothing and giving nothing back. And at that point, you're sort of like, yeah, fair enough. That's a pretty good reason to have guns. I'm not sure that's going to happen anymore, but I get why, and I get sort of the feeling of why you want them.
There are a lot of people who are going to be the saying is gung ho, which means all the way, let's go guns, let's go America. There are always going to be people who are that far on that spectrum, and people are on the opposite end, and everything in between, whatever. But historically, yeah, there were a lot of guns, and we used a lot of guns to do a lot of shitty things. And we use them to do a lot of good things, and we use them to do a lot of bad things. But on the surface, I think, despite what side you're on, I think either side can agree that we don't want people to die. I think
Yes,
that's a given.
I think that is the aim. The aim is to try and minimize as many people as possible from dying. I agree there.
I don't want anybody to get shot. The person like yourself doesn't want anybody to get shot. I don't want people to get hurt. I don't want people to get killed. I don't want people to not feel safe, and I don't want people to not feel protected. So I think there has to be a medium in between the two of probably our viewpoints that's just freaking common sense. If you want to get a gun, cool. Take a class, learn how to use it, register the thing, take care of it like you do the rest of your stuff. Don't do anything stupid, or you don't ever get to have one again. We're going to take it away from you, sort of thing. You shot your wife, well, guess what? You're a felon. You don't get one ever again. But
yeah, I think that's a good idea. You should definitely be teaching people how to use them.
yeah, I think so.
To be completely honest, I thought you guys already were.
There
Are there not classes on how to use guns before you get them?
there are, but they're not, it's not a mandate. You can
Oh,
a lot of people you can be 18 and you can buy a firearm, right? You have to be a legal adult in America that's 18. I think, isn't Australia like they have a different sense of that, where you have to be 16 for some things and 18 for some things, or I don't know.
so if you want it to have sex, you need to be 16. If you want to drive a moped for some reason, you have to be 16. You can start to learn to drive at 16. But you need to do, I think at the moment it's 120 hours, and I think 20 of those have to be at night, to go from a learner's license to a provisional license, which we call the red Ps. And then it's another, I think it's either another 120 hours or just a year on your red Ps. Then you can go to your green Ps. And then from there, it's another year, and then you can go to your full license. So we have a lot of training to go up. But at the same time, our roads are a lot thinner than yours, actually, is one of the things I learned, because I used to work for a company, and they had like an American branch,
Mhm.
and they came over and they said, your roads are really thin. I'm never driving on those. You guys are really close together. And I was like, what? No, this is normal.
Screw you guys and your skinny roads.
Yeah, yeah, apparently. But like, apparently you guys only go from, I think it's like learners straight to full license.
Yeah.
I think there's only 2 stages to it. Yeah, so we've got I guess 4
Sure.
stages. And so that starts at 16, but generally I think you get your full license around 18, 21, something like that.
Mhm.
But you only have to be 18 to go, clubbing or start drinking and stuff like that. You don't have to be 21.
Okay, I gotcha.
So that's where our laws are sort of at, I guess.
kind of similar but different. You have to be 21 as a legal adult to drink at a
Yeah, I know.
establishment.
My girlfriend went to Hawaii recently, and she had just turned 21. Her
Mhm.
friend had just turned 21, but her sister, who also went with her, was 20. So
Ah.
they went over, and 2 of them could drink, and 1 of them couldn't. The funny thing was, if they were in Australia, they would be fine at drinking. Sorry about that. They could just drink whatever they wanted, but because
Yeah.
they're in America, suddenly 1 of them couldn't drink anymore.
It
But I
seems
think,
stupid, dude.
I mean,
It really
to,
does.
to
Like,
change the topic from guns for you. I think that it's. I'm not saying that children should drink excessively, but I think in Italy they sometimes, occasionally, give kids a glass of wine
yeah,
with their meal.
absolutely, dude.
And I think it's a good idea, because it's sort of, if we're going to live in a society, in a culture that does drink alcohol as much as we do, you should sort of get used to it. And if they're in Italy and they're having a small amount of wine as kids, they're sort of getting used to it, and that means that they don't get blackout drunk and throw up and have alcohol poisoning when they're older.
Well, you see, that's the problem we have when we go back to when we first started talking about jobs and how there's always that one idiot that fucks it up for everybody else, is the fact that it doesn't matter what age you are, whether you're 6 or whether you're 60, there's always going to be the
Sure.
idiot that's going to go past the one glass of wine at dinner and instead have 10 and do something stupid like shoot
That's
somebody
called a
or
lazy
hit somebody
Sunday
with their car.
afternoon.
The thing that they say here, as they probably do there and everywhere else, is drink responsibly. They say that on pretty much every advertisement you're going to see. And what they mean by that is, hey, stupid, we know you're an alcoholic. You should probably get that taken care of responsibly, meaning go deal with that. Go talk to somebody who's going to give you the tools in your belt to help you drink responsibly. You know,
well, as far as I'm aware, in America, you guys drink less than, I'm not sure about the rest of the world, but certainly Australia and Britain. In Britain, they drink a lot. In Australia, I think we drink a lot as well. And from what I've heard of in America, you guys tend to drink less than us, just generally speaking.
I don't know. I never really, like, honestly can't say. I never really, like, I drink occasionally.
Never looked into it.
I was never much of a drinker, really. I like it from time to time. You know, I'll sit down and like have a beer to like chill out or whatever, just like anybody else, or drink at dinner like with my wife or something like that. But like, I've never wanted to go. I never wanted to like go out and like even in college. My aim was never to like, yeah, I'm gonna go get fucked up. Like I thought that was the dumbest thing ever. Like I honestly.
Oh no, I agree. I actually don't drink that much myself either. I also don't drink beer because beer tastes terrible. It tastes like wet Wheat Bix, which you know what Wheat Bix are?
Not a clue.
All right, well they're basically a breakfast cereal, and it's like flakes of wheat in a Bix. Oddly enough, I don't know how to describe it. It's like it's imagine a brick made out of pressed wheat.
Okay.
And then you put milk on it, and that's it. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's called
anyway, so beer tastes like that.
That's called a granola bar over here.
I mean, it's the same it's the same shape as a granola bar. But no, I agree. Like I never actually wanted to go and get hugely drunk. I actually don't drink now. I can't remember the last time I was drinking. I drink occasionally with my girlfriend if we go out, just to be social. But on my own, I don't tend to drink really at all.
I don't either. My wife got me some Fireball tonight. I'm gonna drink some of that, but I'm probably gonna have like 2 shots worth, and I'm gonna drink responsibly. Holy shit! You mean I can everything in moderation, nothing in excess? What?
Well, no, our we had ads like drink responsibly, but ours were more focused on less about drinking responsibly, because we knew we were never going to be able to convince people not to have that 100th can of beer. They're going to do it anyway, right? So our ads were more focused on how do you get home, right? And I mean, they were coming up with insane ideas. Like it was like, you know, fire yourself out of a clown cannon to get home, this sort of thing. But it was basically the idea of the ad was, you know, when you're drunk, you don't have the best ideas, so order a taxi.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Sort of the upshot.
That's a lot. That's a lot better of an idea for that, to go that commercial route than I don't know if they had the same ads that. I don't know if they ran them there, but they definitely ran them here when I was probably around like 16. I was still in high school because I remember these were the dumbest commercials ever, about how it wasn't cool to smoke pot and your friends wouldn't think you're cool. And like one of them was like your brain. This kid was like in the kitchen before like school or some shit early in the morning, and he was like took a hit off his blunt or whatever, and like his brain fell out onto the skillet and it was roasting like an egg and made like the crackling sound, you know, and it's something about drugs frying your brain, and nobody thinks it's cool. And
the problem with that ad is that that ad was clearly made up by someone who was on weed at the time. How do you think of that?
Nah, dude, he was on LSD.
Oh, all right. We'll make a video about how weed is really bad, and we'll have it fall out of their fucking head.
What some guy said is he got the guys in the suits and ties sat down with the guys who were going to make the thing, and they said, okay, you guys, here's what we want to do. We want to show people that smoking weed is bad. And then the guys who created it got together and they were like, all right, dude, we're gonna have to get high for this. Oh shit.
Yep. Pretty much.
And then once they delivered it back to the guys, they were like, wow, you did a really great job. I think we're gonna pay you extra.
Yeah. We had, I think it was, I don't know if you saw it in America, but we had what was called stoner sloth, I think it was.
It sound
But
we
basically,
I'm sure we had something similar. I don't know.
if you smoke weed, you turn into a sloth. And so there's like, they're at dinner, and this guy is obviously turned into like an actual physical sloth. He's sitting at the table, and someone's like, "Can you pass the tomato sauce?" And so they slowly reach out for the tomato sauce, and then turn to hand it to them. And it was just such a fucking joke, because it was just so stupid. That's not what weed does to you. Weed doesn't turn you into a sloth. Weed makes you talk about conspiracy theories and joke and laugh, and it turns you into a nice person. That's what it does.
I've never been a pothead, but I did go to college,
I do.
and that
No,
shit
I
makes
don't.
me paranoid as shit, and I'll never ever do it again. I don't like it. It
I'm not
doesn't
sure I
resonate
could.
well with me. So,
But like I said, like the video game thing, like I do what I find fun, right? And my basic stance is like we have cigarettes, we have alcohol. If doing drugs makes you happy, then, well, first off, I recommend, not always drugs are going to make you happy. We know that society and engaging with society makes you happy,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But if you're going to do it safely, right? And you know I'm not going to be able to stop you, because we can't. We've had the war on drugs, and it hasn't stopped drug use, right? All that it's done
Yeah.
is made people take drugs in a much more secret and therefore less safe way.
Ooh, somebody
So,
likes my beard. Sorry to interrupt you, Zach, as well. You like my beard? Thank you very much.
thank you for saving me from the train wreck of a sentence that I was going down there.
Nah, you're going down the right direction. Again, we go back to that. Oh my God! If you're gonna do it responsibly. What?
Yeah. Well, there's, I think I can't remember which country it is, but I think it might be Switzerland or something. Basically, they have with the hard drugs. So my position on like the soft drugs like marijuana and stuff, the things where you just sort of sit in a chair and go for 3 hours, that sort of stuff. That's fine. Do that and be safe with it, and you can do that in your own home. But in Switzerland, there's like the hard drugs like ice and meth and stuff.
Yeah.
And they say, we're not going to be able to stop you from doing it, because obviously you're going to do it anyway.
Right.
But what we want to do is come into this facility. We have people that will be able to look after you, make sure that, you are taking it safely, you're not overdosing, you don't die, right? And you can still take it. But while you're there, obviously, we're going to talk to you. Do you want to go to rehab? Do you want help with this? All this stuff. I support that idea. I support that idea.
Absolutely.
Of taking people outside of these dangerous situations where they're taking the drug and bring them to a safe environment where they can take the drug, but then also seek help if they want it. Because I think a lot of people who are on ice genuinely want help. I believe that they want help to get off ice, because it's a really nasty drug, and it really fucks you up. And I think a lot of these people want to get off it, but they're addicted to it and they can't get off it.
Well,
and if they get off it, then they everything's going to fall apart for them.
No, you're
including their teeth.
You're right. Hey Shane, what's up, dude? How you doing? Coming again from a law enforcement perspective, there are some hardcore drug users out there who I've personally spoken to one-on-one, who, again, you're going to have people on every end of the spectrum, man. There are people who say, I do it because I love it. Whether that's them talking or the drug addiction talking, it's true for them. That's not true for everybody.
Yeah, of course.
But there are also people that I talk to who have just done it for years, and people I've spoken to personally have, broken down, just crying, because they feel like a piece of shit because they're addicted to this substance. This stuff is made to the first time you do it, you're hooked, man. It's such a potent drug. Meth and heroin, at least in this town and the area in which I live, it's so dominant over everything else, man. You do it once, you're hooked. You start hitting that needle, you're done. And it's the story I've always been told from anybody who is a heavy drug user, like a hard drug user. I don't give a shit about weed, dude. I don't care. We're talking about like heroin. We're talking about methamphetamine here.
Sure. Yeah.
Everybody that I've spoken to, and it's been a lot of people, a lot of them say dude, they just say as soon as you hit that needle, you're done. as soon as you hit that needle, you're you're screwed because you're hooked immediately. It's a high unlike anything else, and you spend the rest of your time chasing that feeling through that drug because you're not getting something in your life that you're getting from the drug, and you substitute the lack of for the fulfillment of the drug. And it's just a downward spiral, you know. They
Yeah.
You use the drugs to get rid of the emotions, and then once the feeling comes back, you use the drugs again to drown it out, and then after about the third or fourth time, you're using the drug just to feel normal. And that's where you're screwed, because that's where your body is fully on the shit, where if you don't use it, you're going to get sick. And once you start to get sick, then you know you're addicted, and you have to shoot up more, and you have to go chase that high, and you start shooting up more, because not only do you want to not be sick, you also want to get high, and then that's where you get your overdoses. And it sucks, dude. A lot of people that I grew up with, and I'm sure I'm just, you know, I'm talking to my brother here because we grew up in the same place, and he's here in the chat, and he probably knows people too, I'm sure, because we lived in the same area. But I grew up with people, dude. There's so many people that I grew up with that died in this county. So freaking many. You know, you would, if you looked at the list of the people, you'd shake your head and you'd just be like, holy shit, man. There's just a lot. It's a lot, man. It's a huge problem.
Sure, yeah. No, I agree with you. It's a vicious cycle, and it's designed. I just wanted to say, sorry, I was reading the chat.
Yeah, I'm just reading that too.
Shane is there, and I just wanted to say, if you've beaten it, man, if you've gotten over it, then well done for you, because it's not easy. I know that. I mean, I'm drinking soft drink right now, and I really shouldn't be, and it's really hard to kick sugar. So I understand that it's hard to kick this stuff. Sugar is not heroin. I'm not saying it is, but I understand that there's always that need to have more.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. And I guarantee heroin would be harder than sugar. Although that being said, heroin isn't sold in every store you walk past. So
I mean, people can get hella addicted to sugar too, man. I mean, don't undercut that for sure. But no, I was reading.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I'm addicted to it.
Hey, I'm addicted to caffeine.
No,
dude.
like,
I love coffee. I love coffee.
I could easily drink like 3 liters of soft drink a day. No problem.
Oh,
like,
shit.
I'm
Yeah, that's a
pretty
lot.
sure I'm addicted to it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
if I don't drink Coke and stuff, I get really bad migraine headaches.
Yeah.
It's like an actual addiction.
It is. That's literally an
addiction. I have a great way out of it without snapping at everyone.
I think in that case, probably just to whittle it down, you know, like.
Oh yeah.
If you have
you know, if you notice, I'm not drinking a 2-liter bottle right now. It's 600 mils.
Well, it's 12:25 a.m. and I'm drinking coffee, so if that tells you anything. But
good idea. Good idea.
Yeah, it's usually because I stay up late. But you know, the way I look at it is like, let's just say you have like 10 glasses of pop a day. You know, if you have to have that excess amount to do it.
Soda pop.
Where I'm from, I call it pop. Some people call it soda. It depends on where you go, but
we call it soft drink. As opposed to like hard drink, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends on where you go.
It was interesting.
If you go further north, I'm in Indiana. If you go further north to where Michigan is at, like the top of the United States ish, they call it soda.
Sure, I know where that is.
And if you go a little further south, they call it pop. It's all location based. I don't know why, whatever. But if you have like
there's
10
a whole
a day,
bunch of those words that we do that. We call them thongs, and that's really cool because we have them on our feet.
Yeah, we call those. They call them flip flops. They call them sandals. The older generation call them thongs. People that the baby boomer generation. A lot of older individuals that I know call them thongs, and I remember as a kid it was really hard to not laugh at them because I was an immature kid and I thought dick jokes are still funny. Sometimes they are, but when they say you got your thongs on, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You know? It's hard not to laugh.
They're a must-have in Australia because the ground's always too hot, but we're too lazy to actually get dressed. So you put on some shorts, you put on a shirt, and it's like, oh, do I want to lace up my shoes? No. Throw on thongs. The worst part is walking for long distances with thongs because it's all rubber and it gets between your toes, and then you have to sort of grip your toes forward so that they stay on your feet. And in doing so, the actual rubber bit that holds on in between your toes rubs, and it just gets so it hurts after like 30 meters. You're like, no, I want to go back and lace up my shoes, but you're stuck because going back would mean walking another 30 meters. So you sit down, and that's where your new house is. Never moving again.
I used to wear thongs, flip-flops all the time, and I don't think I like them anymore. I think I grew out of them. It was a college thing, it was a generational thing. I don't know. Who knows? But
I wear them if I'm going to the shops or if I'm just going downstairs. If I'm going on a long trek, I'll put on shoes. Because as an Australian, I have shoes that have Velcro still. I can't be bothered doing up the socks, doing up the laces. I'll put on Velcro. That'll fix it.
Yeah, I got a pair of Velcro shoes too. They're actually extremely comfortable. I love them.
They're really comfortable. They're across. They're not business shoes, but they sort of kind of pass for business shoes in a way.
Oh no!
But they're like
not here.
No, they're all black. They're completely black. So as long as people don't look at your shoes, then it's fine. And they're Velcro. I hate lacing stuff up because it takes just so long. But these ones are comfortable. They're $15 from Kmart. And every time I buy them, I always look at that price tag and go, how? For about 30 seconds before realizing I don't want the answer to that question. The answer to that question will make me depressed. And then I go and buy them.
Yeah. A friend of mine and I, we went to Walmart, and this was like before I was married and before I had kid and another one on the way, and when I had money to blow and waste and I was able to, and we used to go to Walmart and just buy stupid shit just because we could. And one of the things we decided to buy was a $10 pair of Velcro shoes from Walmart, and they aren't black, they're gray.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know which ones I'm talking about. And
I have no idea, but
they're the ones that eventually, like, they have like the foam soles on the bottom, like the undersoles, and
yeah,
they're the ones that eventually wear out, that people wear the outside edges out of, and you see them walking like that on the sides.
Yeah, I think I know the ones you're talking about. Yeah.
That's the kind we bought, and we bought them because we thought it was just going to be funny to walk around in a pair of shoes that made us look stupid, right? And so we buy them, we get them back to his house, and we're like eating some pizza, and we're like, dude, let's put these shoes on and let's check them out. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. And we put them on, and I'm just like, oh my God, dude, these are the most comfortable shoes I think I've ever owned in my life, because they're super comfortable. It's like wearing slippers, and you're getting a foot massage every time you take a step.
Like, I think they were $120 shoes, and they were all right. But they just weren't that comfortable, and they're not as comfortable as these $15 Kmart shoes. I don't know if you have Kmart, but in Australia, Kmart is basically, you know how you people go to church? Well, that's how we go to Kmart.
Whoa. What do you mean, you people? First of all.
In America.
What do you mean, you people, sir?
I mean Americans. Don't you people go to church religiously, oddly enough?
No, I don't.
Look, when I think of America, I think of a small town in Kansas, and everyone's in church, and it's very easy to break into people's homes because they're all gone.
What do you really think of us, man? Wow.
What do I really think of America? Actually, in all honesty, I think that the stuff that I'm shown of America is actually not real. It's like a small snippet.
Yeah, you're right.
But in reality, I think that people in America are actually really nice to each other, don't shoot each other, and they'll invite you in and they'll have a meal with you. I think that's what people in America are really like. The stuff that we're shown over here in our small island nation is just all the worst stuff that comes out, and of course, only the worst stuff is going to come out because it's the big stuff.
Yeah,
right. I think Americans as people are actually really nice. Every single American I've spoken to is a much better person than I am because I'm always making fun of them.
I make fun of everybody and everything too, so don't ever fucking take anything that I say seriously. So when I say, what do you mean by you people, you just say, you know what the fuck I mean, dude. I'm Italian, okay? We won't get into we're not going to get into like the racism topic here, but I'm part Italian. My mom's side of the family is Italian. Okay, let me just tell you this perspective based on a relatively off-sided racism perspective. As a partially Italian man, I find it absolutely hilarious if somebody calls me a guinea. I think it's hilarious if somebody calls me a wop or a whopper. These are all derogatory names for Italians, and I think every single one of them is fucking hilarious. I love it. And I I don't think that I think if I were to get upset by a sound that somebody made out of their mouth toward me to try to offend me, I couldn't do it, dude. I couldn't do it. I'd find it too funny. But that's just me. I'm not
Sure.
gonna delve deep into that Alice in Wonderland rabbit hole. That's as far as I'm gonna go. But I think it's funny. I think it's hilarious. Um, but I want to go back up to Shane Factor Gaming because I was reading some of his stuff as we were talking, and honestly, it's really
Saximus
cool.
donated 100 bits again, by the way.
Yeah, he did, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I'm trying to like
Um,
keep track of all this stuff here, but he
yeah,
apparently was battling some
conversation's
really
too
bad
interesting.
depression, man, and he busted through it and kicked its ass, which is awesome, Shane. That's cool as shit, dude. I'm really proud of you for that. Kudos to you, man.
That's pretty cool.
That is cool, man. But no, you're
Oh yeah, no,
absolutely
no, sorry, I was drinking at the time. I was trying to catch my breath. I didn't mean to make that sound like it wasn't cool.
no, you're
No, that's really cool.
I don't give a shit,
Um,
man. You can burp on the podcast. I don't give a shit.
oh no, I just mean when I said it, I don't think it sounded as enthusiastic as I was trying to be.
Oh no, but
Um,
um,
but
what I was gonna
that's
say
really cool, Shane.
is to add on to what you were saying about most Americans, the stuff that you get, you're absolutely right. The stuff that you get is absolute bullshit. Um, I can tell you, pretty much for the most part, a lot of people, at least in my area, in my state, and where I live, are a lot like myself. Pretty down to earth, pretty chill. A lot of people seem a little more quiet than most. We kind of keep to ourselves, but what I can tell you is that I haven't been able to, since I was born and raised here where I'm at. Um, and I can tell you without a doubt, there are a lot of really good people here still. Even from the ones that have moved out, there's still a lot of really great people here. And there are people that I haven't talked to in years that I know that I could just show up at their door and say hi to, and they would welcome me in, just because
Oh yeah.
we've known each other for 20 years. Um, and I know without a doubt that, like, let's say I'm driving down the road, I get a flat tire. There's going to be at least 5 people that are going to stop in between the time of me changing my tire and say, "Are you okay, man? Do you need some help? Can I help you?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
do you need a ride? Do you need this?" Like, it happens all the time. And unfortunately, we had a situation 12 years ago where that exact thing did happen. A guy's car broke down right off the highway. Um, one of our state police officers was off duty and he was in his personal vehicle, and he stopped to help the guy, and unfortunately that guy decided it would be a good idea to um, put down his window and shoot him dead and leave him there and drive away.
What, the sheriff or
The state police officer, yeah,
guy?
yeah.
Right, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that was it's still a super big thing. They have a fundraiser for him in his name, and he was just a really good guy, but he was from out of town, and I don't know what his goal was, but I don't know. It was a shitty thing all around. But regardless of that, regardless of all the bad shit that happens, whether you're here or whether you're in Australia or in the UK or whatever, regardless,
Yeah.
I think the media sucks for the most part. I think they do give out some good information, but for the most part, it used to be informative, man. It used to be. I think it came around about in the late 50s. In the 50s, they'd run the news like once an hour. And it was stuff like, here's the weather, here's the local sports, here's high school sports, here's what Jane did. She made a bunch of pies for these old people and donated it to the local old folks home, yada, yada, yada. That used to be the news. And we used to have people like Paul Harvey, if you're familiar with Paul Harvey, um, that would relay these really positive stories across the media and gain national attention as a speaker, and the stories he would tell are informative and uplifting and inspiring. And somewhere, around the 60s, that started to change because I think newspaper started to do it because TV was going to take over newspaper, and then the internet started to do it because the internet was going to take over TV. Video killed the radio star, all that bullshit. I think anytime we see these I think what happens, man, is anytime we see these big changes in society, no matter where you're at, there's always going to be that fight against it. There's always going to be that push to stay how it is. You know, there are always people who like things how they are, and then there are going to be people who like things to change. And I think that's kind of what's happening if you kind of put the pieces together and look at it, is that the media is getting so outlandish now because I think that they know that their time is coming, and it's coming soon. You know, I think they know that television is going to go the way of the dinosaur, just kind of like radio is and like satellite TV is. Who has satellite TV or satellite radio? You know, nobody has satellite television around here, and it's all going away because we have things like Netflix and we have things like YouTube, and we can sit here and watch stuff. Like, people can pull up this podcast on their phone and watch it. You couldn't do that 20 years ago, you know, and I think that's probably why it's happening, is because they don't want that change, because these people don't want to lose their jobs, they don't want to lose their money, and they don't want to lose their stuff. And
of course. I mean, to be fair, that's not an unreasonable stance. I don't want to lose my job and have no way of providing for my family. That's, all right, that's a pretty good argument. Well, I probably shouldn't stop you from being able to provide for your family, but at the same time, I think you're right. I think news has become more inflammatory and more divisive.
No,
it's,
Shane,
you're either
thank you for the sub, dude. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. That's fucking awesome. Thank you for subscribing,
right.
dude.
Nice work, Shane.
Yeah.
I think news has become more, you're either on one side or the other. You're either a Republican or a Democrat, and there's no middle ground. You either completely support, Trump, or completely hate him. And that's sort of how the news is portrayed. And then you actually talk to people, and people are like, I don't do either of those two things. And it just doesn't make sense anymore.
It doesn't, man. It doesn't. If you if you talk to most of the people, at least around here, about, not shit you see on YouTube,
Sure.
Ask people how they feel about Hillary or how they feel about Trump, either way, they're not going to freak out, and they're not going to say, oh, the patriarchy, oh, oppression, oh, this. They're not going to say that shit.
Sure.
I don't talk politics. I don't really get into it on the podcast. It's just not it's not a category of no, you're fine, dude. I don't mind talking a little bit about it. I just don't want to make it a priority to talk about it solely. I neither am against or opposed of either one of them. I am totally for the best person for the job. May the best man or woman win, or non-binary or whatever I don't care. If a unicorn is the best fucking unicorn for the job out of all the people and humans on the earth, so be it. Whatever. Do the job, do it well.
I think
but
that's a pretty good stance to take on it.
I'm not gonna. I can't support Hillary knowing that she lied about emails and deleted shit that she wasn't supposed to delete, and I think she should have gotten in trouble for it, and we all know she's not going to, and I think it's bullshit, so she didn't get my vote. That's just the way it rolls. And then I also was not really very happy that Bernie sold out to Hillary. That was not very cool. I think he sold out because he obviously didn't want Trump to win. We know this happened.
Well, I think that was a bit of a mistake on his part. I think it was a bit of a mistake on the Democrats' part, because the way I sort of look at it, the way I'm reading it, is that it was basically a gamble by the Democrats.
It was
basically saying that people are going to vote more for the moderate left, which was Hillary, than the extreme left, even though Bernie isn't that extreme.
He's not, no.
No, but they were more likely to vote for Hillary because she's a moderate than Bernie against Trump. And I think that was a mistake. I think they should have put Bernie forward. They should have had an extreme take an extreme. And I think that would have been more divisive, which I think is a problem. But I think they would have had a better chance of winning.
I think, and I think in a perfect world, like I said, may the best man or woman for the job get it. I wish that would be the case. I wish that we could set aside. I don't care what's between your legs, dude. I don't. And some people voted for Hillary just because she didn't have a dick between her legs. We know this.
Sure.
We know this is true.
Some people voted for Trump just because he was a guy, though.
Yeah, and
the opposite for that reason.
Yeah, absolutely. And some people voted for Hillary because she was a female, and we need a woman president, yeah. That's great, but I don't want it to be a shitty woman president. Give me a good one, and I don't care, dude. I do not care. Um,
Mm.
and I don't, you know,
Well, there's a bit of we had a female prime minister in Australia, and I don't know if she was the most effective prime minister that Australia's had, but a lot of people criticize her. But I like to point out every time it sort of comes up that out of all the prime ministers of Australia, she was the one that did the most work. She got the most legislation passed out of any prime minister of Australia. And I'm sort of like, yeah, I mean, that's important to know that she was working her ass off. She was a good prime minister.
sure.
Whether or not you liked her as a person was irrelevant. She was still doing her damn job. In Britain, they also had a female prime minister a couple of years ago, Thatcher, and there's some fairly good arguments against her that don't involve the fact that she's a woman. she's messed up that country, man. It's not good what's happened.
And it just
But,
it all comes down to who you hire, man. It all comes down to who you hire. It's not a man or woman thing. It's none of that shit. It's best man for the job. But I think
your chat is fighting with itself, by the way.
yeah, I know. I'm kind of reading through that too. And
we did the one thing we weren't supposed to.
We're not gonna delve too deep into it. You know, I'm gonna say
abort. Change subject.
All I'm gonna say is that I really have a lot of fun making fun of Donald Trump.
Well, that was what it was Trevor Noah who said, you know, I don't like Donald Trump, you know, because I wake up in the morning and I'm terrified because I'm black, but I also wake up in the morning happy because I'm a comedian and I know he's going to make me laugh that day.
Yeah. Well, it's not necessarily that. It's just that I like to make fun of him and I like to crack Trump jokes. Like I like to make those kind of jokes. I think they're hilarious because he is he's like you said, he's on one extreme, you know, he's outlandish and he's not afraid to push. I dig that. You're the president.
Sure.
Sometimes you got to push. I think sometimes he probably takes a little too far and needs to kind of I think if you compare him now to how he was when he first started, I think you see a big difference between the two versions of Trump.
No, I think you're right.
He's still a little, you know, he's still a little up there, but he's learning how to scale it back, and I think he understands the one principle is that when you're in a position of leadership, it is better to start off cracking the whip like you're the fucking man and then slowly taper it off than instead of being the nice guy and getting pushed around and then trying to crack the whip later. That doesn't work out, you know, very well. I think he's slowly starting to reel it back.
I think you're right on that.
And I think he's figuring
it out.
But
I think the reason he's reeled it back is because I don't think he understood just how messy and difficult politics was. I think he had the idea of, like, anyone who's new to something thinks, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to kick ass. And he didn't, because it's really hard. And he was like, oh, okay, let's scale down a little bit here and I'll act like that was my promise from the beginning.
I think you're right.
I'm gonna get rid of Obamacare. No, I'm gonna mostly remove it. Oh, it's really hard.
Yeah, I think he probably did a little bit of that shit where he had those oh shit moments where he
Yeah, I think that's a lot. I think that's a large part of what's going on.
I'm gonna kick some ass and we're gonna get rid of Obamacare, okay? And then he probably said, yeah, we're gonna fucking do this. And then once
his advisors were like, no, you're not.
Probably had the little my eyes are bigger than my stomach thing, and then he probably said,
exactly.
Whoops. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
This is hard.
So has the government shut down over there, by the way? Because I sort of kind of been following the whole story with
yeah. Man, the problem with that, man, every time they do this shit, it's basically like
they did it with Obama as well. So it's not like it's a Democrat or Republican thing. They just constantly do it. It's a Congress or a bunch of dicks problem.
It's basically just a well-educated union of laborers. You know, they decide to shut down until they get what they want, and it's one of those things that it's scare tactics, and it always comes down to let's meet our demands, otherwise we're just not gonna show up to work. You know, it
always comes down to, the way I've seen it, they always just end up splitting in the middle.
They do,
which is really weird, because I would have thought, like, surely that's the first thing on the table. You want $50 million, we want 60. Well, let's call it 55 and go home. But it takes like 7 weeks for them to work that out. It's like, what are we paying you for?
Well, I'll tell you what, man. You want to call it soda, I want to call it pop. Let's meet in the middle and call it Poda, okay?
I call it soft drink, so we can call it pop drink. Well, that sounds like something a superstar would drink.
Oh, Jesus. Oh man. See, this is harder than we thought. Fuck, and this is just about this is just
Right,
about a
we're gonna have to
carbonated
shut down
beverage.
both our countries until we work this out.
Everybody
No, but it was
shut it
funny 'cause
down.
the last time they did this, right? The last time they did this, they shut down the government because of like Obamacare and all that. But then they were gonna go on break. They were gonna go on holiday or whatever the hell they call it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I think it was like a day or an hour or whatever before they were gonna go on break. They quickly passed legislation that was passed so fast that parts of it were written in hand to fund the ATC or the air traffic controllers and all that because they were all going to be flying home. So
Oh
they
no.
funded the one thing that would actually impact their lives and left everything else on hold. And it's like, really? Really? Like, if you can't fund anything, you stay there until you do it. You don't just get to fund the one part that fixes your life and then fuck off for a couple of months. It was such a dick move.
That sounds like something we would do over here. I'm not gonna
lie. To be fair, it sounds like something we in Australia would probably do as well. Oh, but it was funny because there was the British scandal about, you know, there were the claims and all that, because they were claiming, some British politicians were claiming like extra houses on their tax and all this sort of stuff.
No, yeah.
It was insane what they were doing, but you can claim a whole bunch of shit in politics. And one of the big things was claiming travel, right? Which sort of makes sense if you're you know, living in, I don't know, let's say Alabama or somewhere in Alabama, and then you have to travel to Washington because you are an elected representative. Yeah. Then okay, it should be the government pays for you to get there. Fair enough, right? But they came out with this scandal, and then the British reported the you know, the top 5 people who've used so much money for travel, and it turned out they were like in places like Scotland and the Isle of Wight, and it's like at that point you're like, well, fair enough that you probably need a lot of money to travel to London. We're not worried about the people who use money to get here. We're worried about the people who like claimed houses and all that shit. It was so weird how they reported it.
I don't know, man. I think no matter where you go, you're gonna get your fair share of stupid shit. And
I think that there is a lack of faith in our political system across the world, and I think that's why Donald Trump won in a way, just because it was a break from the, you know, the standard of just do it the way they want.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Shane, I hope you have a good night too, man, and thank you again for your sub, and thanks for a bigger thank you for lending that bit of personal information for us. That's pretty cool of you to talk about that in an open forum, man, and kudos to you, dude. So thank you for that. I hope you have a good night.
Yeah, man. Have a great night, Shane.
Keep kicking ass, man. Keep kicking ass. That is awesome to hear. That's really, really cool. I know some.
By the way, why do you only have one panel of soundproofing right behind you?
Because I haven't built the whole thing. Okay, so like it's just not a complete studio yet, which it will be eventually. Right. But I have, I'm not gonna dislodge the camera and all that, but I have soundproofing over here. I have I have panels directly in front of me, and then I'm going to be building at least this whole side full of panels, kind of like how yours looks.
Yeah, because I've got it all the way around me. And then it's up to about head height when I stand up.
Yeah, mine is because of all of the stupid wood paneling. I put them up strategically in areas where I know the sound is bouncing, so I don't have the echo coming back into my mic. So basically, I put up the panels in front and the panels on the side because that's my biggest problem with the echo, and it knocked it out immediately. That one back there is because of my front-facing speakers that are directly in front of me. To stop bouncing off of these stupid walls back here. So I have to put the other one up eventually. But I don't have a problem where this curtain's at, because this is a big bay window and nothing rattles. It's just this whole wall is a window.
I see. I thought you were going to say I don't have problems with the curtains, because obviously the curtains are basically soundproofing in their own right.
Kind of. They help, but it's one giant window and there's nothing that's there to, there's no sound, there's no paneling to bounce off of. The paneling is the paneling goes over the frame of the wall, so it's not, you know, it's not a solid object, obviously, so it fluctuates. Like I could sit here and just push on it a little bit. That's what it does. It's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to look pretty and all that, but we'll
wait for a tornado to hit your house and see if you still see the same thing then. Yeah, you can't hear anything of the tornado outside as your microphone flies off.
You want to start podcasting? Teach me your ways, dude. I would love for you to have a podcast. I'm happy to show you I will show you the way. And thank you for the 100 bits again, man. Come out here, help me buy my stuff, set up my studio. Absolutely. You know I will. I'd totally do that, man.
I don't know about you, but I'm constantly like just tweaking stuff on my setup.
Always.
Not physically anymore. Physically, I'm basically set up, but all the software. I think I mentioned before. Oh god, I shouldn't have drunk all that coke so quickly. Anyway, I have like I set a level on my microphone and all the other audio.
Yeah.
Partly so that I wouldn't peak the microphone anymore, but also just so I could always be heard over like the game and all that.
Sure.
So I'm always just fiddling with stuff. So I mean, really, Zaximus, I don't know if you've got any advice for him, but my advice would just be to start, because you're going to constantly be fiddling, and there's always going to be something extra you can do. So you just got to start from the beginning and fiddle.
Well, I know for a fact he got a very nice brand new laptop that is more than sufficient to do the job, but I think he uses it for work purposes. He owns baseball's big in our country. What's
Zaximus has a job for us. What's big in our country? Cricket or
and
football?
What is rugby?
Probably football.
Is rugby big there too, or?
Oh, so when I say football, we're basically talking rugby. So in Australia, we got cricket, we got football, which is rugby, and then we've got soccer.
Shows you how smart I am. I'm a fucking idiot. So, like, obviously in Europe, football is soccer.
How are you supposed to know that?
Well, we have football here.
You don't live in Australia, do you?
No. Football here is American football. In Australia, apparently, football is rugby. But in Europe, football is soccer. And then, yeah, I get it, but
we have AFL and NFL, which are two different sports, sort of, but the same kind of thing. So there's Australian rules football and NFL, which I think is national rules football or whatever.
Yeah.
One of them involves breaking the opponent's neck with your shoulder, because you slam into them as hard as you can.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's fun. So what? Basically, I think they're always tackle. I think.
Yeah,
in schools, we play touch, because obviously trying to convince a bunch of parents, let them slam into each other is not the easiest sell in the world. So we play touch football.
I think they're finding out that's not the healthiest thing for growing kids in their brains either, because
they'll be fine. Let's face it, they're living in Australia. They don't need their brain.
Yeah, but you see, have you ever seen an old retired boxer?
Oh, the number of people in football who are coming out with brain injuries now is insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, touch in all honesty, without making a joke, touch football is a lot better for kids and generally everyone. But tackle football is a lot of fun to watch on TV, and these people are willing to damage themselves for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars.
I couldn't do it, man.
So
I couldn't do it. I wouldn't be able to do it, knowing what the other side is like. I really love boxing a lot.
Sure.
I grew up doing it at home. Me and my brother sat around, and that's kind of what we did. During our board times, we'd sit around and we'd open-handed box. We'd just spar with each other for fun, and get into it, have a lot of fun, practice like jujitsu, and wrestle around and do stuff the kids do, and so we watched a lot of boxing matches. I was really young when Mike Tyson was huge, and I watched a lot of boxing matches, but primarily the one thing that was really, they started looking into it, and in the early 2000s, they started really looking into it, which is CTE, which is just basically brain damage. And the one big one is Muhammad Ali. I'm sure you're familiar with Muhammad Ali, and
didn't he change his name? Didn't he convert to the Muslim faith?
It used to be Cassius Clay, and then changed it to Muhammad Ali after he changed.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and
one of the greatest boxers of all time, isn't he?
All time, yes. He's probably my all-time favorite boxer. I think there are probably some people who, like, if you took him in his prime versus them in their prime, they probably might beat him. I don't know, but regardless, in Muhammad Ali's older years, obviously after retirement in his 50s and 60s, they'd have a lot of videos before he died about him going to, you know, fundraisers and events and all of that stuff. And like literally, he had to get help to walk, and
Yeah.
he couldn't sit still, man. Like it was literally like this the whole time. It's just this. And it's like Parkinson's, you know. It's just that's how he died. He died suffering. And looking at stuff like that, I'm like, I don't want to be a fighter. I don't want to play football. I don't want to end up like that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone aims to end up like that.
Like that'd be cool to be the champ, but I don't want to die in that kind of suffering. No way.
Sure. I don't know, because you know we have all these things, and to be fair, like boxing comes about because people do want to be the best at something, and the only way to be the best at boxing is to box someone else.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you get around the whole brain damage thing without ruining the sport? Because I mean, the easiest way is to just shut down the sport.
You can't,
but that's going to be, you know, that's not a good idea, because not only, you know, have you got all this sort of like business centered around it. I don't really care about that. I care about the people who love boxing and are actually doing it and want to be the best. That's important, to have something that you love and you want to be good at.
Oh no, absolutely. But
down for them.
I don't want to be the best at getting punched in the face, is all I'm saying. Like I don't not my thing, you know.
That's a skill, man. That's a marketable skill.
It is, and some people love it.
There's
And
the guy who used to take cannon shots to the stomach and stuff. I don't know who it was, but he used to be able to take a...
Yeah. I don't remember the name. I know who you're talking about, though.
Yeah, people have done crazy shit.
Well, that and even professional wrestlers, the people who do WWF and all of that shit. They're so torn up, man.
Triple H. Who's the guy? He used to have I can't remember who it is, but basically he used to do a move called the spear or something, and someone would be in the corner of the ring, even though it's a square, up against one of the poles, and then he'd just basically spear tackle them with his shoulder.
Anyway. I don't know. I'm a little bit older than you. Like I grew up in the Hulk Hogan days, and
I didn't see that. I'm trying to remember his name, but anyway, he left basically for medical reasons.
Yeah.
And he came back for like one show, not to actually wrestle, but just to sort of like do the whole posturing before the bout thing. And he couldn't turn his neck because of the injuries he'd sustained doing that beer tackle move.
Yeah.
He couldn't turn his neck, and he had to like turn with his entire body rather than just turning his head.
That's
and it's like,
probably because they fused all his vertebrae together after a while.
Probably.
Yeah,
if you don't do it right, and sometimes even if you do it right, it's not going to end well.
Yeah.
There's just stuff that the human body is not very good at doing.
Yeah, and no, you're right. I listened to that Joe Rogan podcast with Jake the Snake, and that guy talks about a lot of shit. That would be a good one for you to listen to if that's one of the things you're interested in. I don't know if you like podcasts or whatever, but if you listen to them in your free time or whatever. But the one Joe Rogan does one with Jake the Snake.
If I hate podcasts at this point.
You know what the fuck I mean.
I know. No, I listen to a podcast called The Bugle. I'm more into sort of comedy stuff.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting to see what someone who's sort of been in that industry has to say. I'm assuming they're talking about sort of the damage it does to your body.
He's so messed up, man. He's so messed up. Not to mention he had a serious drug addiction, and he was hooked on cocaine for like 40 years. But yeah, it's literal snake bites for years and years and years, and he just gets into it, and it's crazy, man. It's messed up. Not anything I want to be a part of, regardless of the money. I don't want to do that.
But I wonder if it's something that can be like avoided, because obviously back in their day, it just was something that wasn't really known about, as far as I'm aware. They didn't really sort of piece together, oh, if I smack myself in the head constantly, bad shit's going to happen.
And it's a little bit of that. It is. And they, we have this old school belief. We still have it where we think like, if you work your ass off until you die, you work your ass off until you kill yourself, you're going to be the best ever, because this is America, and this is what you have to do to succeed, and blah, blah, blah. And now we're finding out in 2018 and 2019 now that that's not necessarily the best route to go, guys. What we're finding
No,
out is the people who are
it's not a good idea.
no, the people who go 110% all the time, the brightest light tends to burn out the fastest, and that's what we're finding out is that while it is a very bright light, these people are not taking the breaks they need to take. These people are not resting. And like back in the days of like Hulk Hogan, dude, they wrestled 7 days a week and sometimes did 2 shows a day. And
Fuck that.
exactly. And like, you don't think that would burn somebody out, you're fucking wrong. And if you don't think like running on that low of fuel all the time is gonna fuck you up, it is. It's gonna hurt you.
Absolutely is.
Yeah, it's gonna hurt you worse than any wrestling that you're ever gonna do. It's gonna have that effect on your body.
I think, you know, if you look at like the historical records, I don't know how they work this out, but I looked it up. Admittedly, it's from Wikipedia, but I find Wikipedia generally pretty reliable. They said, you know, I looked at what was early man, what were they doing, you know, in terms of work, and I think it turned out that they were doing between 2 to 3 days of work a week, and it was for it was I don't think ever more than about 4 hours. So, you know, if you look historically, like evolutionarily, where are we coming from? It's from a position of working 3 days a week for 4 hours, which sort of makes sense because after about 4 hours, most people I know will get pretty tired and their work productivity, even if they have a break with lunch, their work productivity just goes down. And
Yeah.
I know by, you know, 5 o'clock, people are just done with it. They're like in Australia, you know, 5 o'clock, 4:30, I should say, 4:30 rolls around. That last half hour, you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
You're just there to fill the quota.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because we had, like I said, we had those guys from America come over, and we were talking to them, and it was this really interesting thing. They said that they worked more hours than us in Australia, which I believed easily. They also said that they sort of incorporated their daily life into their jobs. They'd go into a class in their lunchtime or something. But what I really found interesting, and on top of all of this, was that they were sort of, in a way, always on for their job. Like someone could call them, you know, at 8 o'clock at night, and they'd help out with a job that needs doing. Whereas in Australia, that doesn't happen. Occasionally, you'll find people that do that, but they tend to be like high-level managers, you know, people that actually matter to the business, or they'll be like CEOs or something that need to be on all the time.
Yeah.
But for average Joes like you or me, just working some job, in Australia, the rule is basically when you get to work at 9 o'clock, that's time for the business. That's when you work.
Yeah.
When you finish at 5, that's when your responsibility to the business ends. And if they want you to work longer than 5 p.m., they can pay you for it, right?
Sure.
If they say, I want you to work, but we're not going to pay, then you have every right to go, no, I'm fucking off to the pub. You know, this is my time now. You're not allowed to have it without giving me something back.
And
it was just really weird, like, it's great. I like it personally. I like having this is business time, and then past business time, this is my time. And it's a very hard definition because otherwise you get businesses in America, and I know that they're not, you know, the majority. I know they're the minority. You get businesses which are asking from their employees to do, you know, 10, 12-hour shifts and acting like it's okay and like it's the norm.
No, this is the norm.
They don't have a choice.
This is absolutely
That is the norm.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me fill you in on some stuff.
They're asking so much from their employees, and it's like, no, that shouldn't be okay. You can't intrude on someone's personal time. That you need at least 8 hours to yourself.
Shit.
8 hours for work, 8 hours for sleep, 8 hours for leisure. That was the model.
No, not here. That was originally implemented by Reagan. That was something that he really wanted to be the norm. Is that 8-8-8 thing? 8 to play, 8 to work, 8 to sleep. And you know, I can totally, in my brother's case, Zach Smith in the chat, I can totally understand why he wants to go above and beyond, because he always has, and he always does. That's something I always really admired about him, was his work ethic. Is that no matter what, no matter who you were, he would beat you with a work ethic, and that's how he's always been. Well, it's highly respected.
Work ethic, then that's important. That's something that, you know, you have, and that's something you've got, and that's cool. But don't burn yourself out for it. But from the perspective of an employer, don't expect everyone to have that. You can't demand that from everyone.
Yeah,
because that's not yours to demand. That's sort of my position.
I think there has to be a happy medium there. I think that I'm not saying to sit there and slack off, and I'm not saying to not go 100%.
I am, you know.
I think it's totally okay to go 100%.
That's what I'm all about.
And I think sometimes it's okay to go 110%, and I think it's perfectly good and fine to go fully above and beyond, what you normally do and go out of your way to do extra shit. I understand that. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is that going to complete failure every single day is probably a bad thing, and probably something that you shouldn't do. I'm not going to do that. Some people do. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but I also don't think it's a good thing. I think it's situational. In my brother's case, however, his was great because he became a professional baseball player because of it, and he now runs his own business because of it. In his case, it's great, and I know he loves it. In my case, I work a shitty job where I do those 10 to 12 hours a day, 72 hours a week or whatever, and at the end of the week, I don't want to fucking go to work anymore. I don't want to ever go back, and I go back every week, and I hate it. I hate it, hate it, hate it. And that's why I want to do the podcast, because I like to do this. Going to my job where I go above and beyond, and I get 3 hours to myself at home, and then I get to sleep for 6, and then go back to work for 12. It's really fucked up, and I hate it.
No.
It's
move to Australia. We'll welcome you. It'll be fine.
And
then you can do the podcast at the right time with me.
on the other side of that, though, it gives me the drive to do this. I just wanted to mention that
Faith pointed out in food service, you're expected to get your ass up in the restaurant if it gets busy, whether you're supposed to be eating lunch or not. That's actually a big no-no in Australia. If you are eating your lunch, whether you get 30 minutes or an hour, depends on your contract, but if you are eating lunch, you're not there anymore. If you're at lunch, then someone can ask for your help, but it's up to you whether you give that help. It's not up to them. It's not up to the business. If you have lunch for an hour, then you are well within your rights to take that entire hour all to yourself. Yeah. And anyone who complains about that, oh, he took his hour and didn't help, you sort of look at them and go, yeah, that's his lunch break. That's his hour or her hour or whatever. Like, you can't demand that hour from them. That's theirs. So I think that wouldn't happen in Australia. But I mean, on the other hand of that, like all the Australian stuff, we do all this and we have all these breaks and stuff. I genuinely think the work ethic of Americans to be able to get up and do 12-hour shifts 5 days a week, that's pretty impressive. You might not like it, but the fact that you still do it is impressive.
A lot of us don't have a choice, though. A lot of us just won't make the money if we don't. And it's economically, it's to that point to where if some people don't do it, then they're gonna lose everything. There are people who do that and are just barely getting by.
Yeah. Well, there's people working like 3 jobs and barely get by.
There is.
That's sort of like how do you do that?
Some people don't have a choice. That's how. There's no choice other than to do it. Some people...
Well, we're having a problem with rent in Australia, where rent is really high. But I mean, if me and my girlfriend both worked, we would be able to afford rent, not anywhere, but pretty much. Yeah. In some pretty decent spots. That would be really weird for us if we each had to work like 2 jobs or even 3 jobs each to be able to afford rent and food and stuff. It would be... Yeah. Pretty unheard of in Australia.
My wife and I both do. She works 2 jobs. I work my full-time job. I have the business that I run on the side, and I make money with my Twitch channel. I do a lot of small things, and that's pretty normal here. Even the really silly thing is, even when I was in law enforcement, we get taxed out the ass in law enforcement. Almost half of our paycheck goes to taxes because we pay into so many other things being in law enforcement. Our law enforcement doesn't make shit here in this country. I don't know about there, but they don't make shit here. So a lot of police officers that I know and a lot of corrections officers that I know work the law enforcement thing, and they have a side hustle too where they do something else. I know virtually everyone does. They all do. My brother
Not supposed to, but it'd be really easy to sell drugs if you're a police officer because you have the power to knock out all the competition.
That's probably true. The hard part is probably not getting caught, because somebody would love to snitch on the cop just because he's a cop.
Oh, absolutely. If you were a cop who was caught for selling drugs, then prison is not going to be a fun place for you. I guarantee.
No,
I'm sure that you can verify that, but I don't think that's going to be a good place to go.
Yeah, you'd walk around covering up your holes, and you'd die.
Yeah.
You would die.
Zach Smith asked, "What's your rent?" Well, at the moment, I'm sort of living with a family friend, so it's $80 a week, which is insanely cheap by any standard.
Yeah, I love that.
Basically, it's pretty good. I mean, this room, I made this room, and it's just because I know the guy who owns the house, and he let me do this. But for a basic, or just a general sort of house apartment thing, 3 bedrooms, kitchen, living room, all that, it's probably, you're looking at around $500 a week, which I think you guys pay by the month, from what I know.
A week?
Yeah, a week. We pay weekly, so it's $500. But that'll be about $350 for you, and so that works out to be about $1,450 in US dollars a month.
The fuck?
Is that expensive?
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, it looks like you and me are switching then. You can come live here, and I'll live over there.
That's almost 3 times what I pay for my rent.
Jesus. I know that American places are bigger and I think cheaper than Australian places. But other than that, it's generally fun.
It evens out though, because we don't make shit here where I live, so.
I think it generally evens out, but the problem is, like, I'm talking about in the city. I live in Sydney City, which is the biggest city in Australia. But even the other cities like Brisbane or Melbourne, which are the other 2 big ones, that's where all the jobs are. And particularly for me, because my job is basically in IT, or was in IT, I have to be near a city, because there's no rural IT job.
Yeah.
So I sort of have to put up with that. But if you're going out into the rural country, you can get a nice, 3, 4, 5 bedroom place for probably about $500 or less.
Yeah.
But we pay everything weekly or fortnightly.
We
don't do this monthly business. None of that.
Yeah.
Do you pay monthly?
Yeah, we pay monthly.
Yeah, I thought so.
But it still sucks, because like I said, it evens out. I mean, it really does. It really evens out. It doesn't matter. The income that I make from my full-time job wouldn't be enough anywhere else, but it is here, so it evens out.
Oh, Faith, you said it's actually cheaper to buy a house and pay a mortgage there. Not in Australia, not in Sydney anyway. We had a place, there was a place in Sydney that was sold as, and I'm not joking, this was on the website, it said, the worst property you will ever see, right? It had like plasterboard that had been punched, people had lived there, like they had gone to the toilet in the house, right? That place sold for $1 million.
Hey,
and it was purely for the land.
Hey, will you do me a favor real quick and keep talking to her about that for about 60 seconds? I think my back door was left open, so I'm getting a draft, and it's winter time, so I'm going to close that real quick.
I will talk. So basically, we're going to introduce socialism to America. No, so that's it's sold for $1 million. You can easily find an apartment that sells for $1 million or $1.2 million in Sydney. So just these places are extraordinarily expensive. We're looking at the position where apparently 52% of my generation will be unable to afford property in Australia. They'll be renting their entire lives, and that's a problem. Now, out in the country, you can get a 3 or 4 bedroom place for about $200,000, which is a pretty good price by Australian standards, and you can probably get a bank loan for that pretty easily. But there are no jobs. So unless you have something that can be done out in the country, like a mechanic or a plumber or an electrician or a teacher, which is actually what I want to go into. I'm going to uni in February, hopefully to become a teacher. But unless you can do something that can be done out in the country, you're not going to be buying a house in the country. So it's a problem we have with all the house prices But luckily, it looks like the bubble is bursting and the house prices are going to come down, which is not good if you're an investor. If you're an investor, you want the house prices to constantly rise. But if you're just a couple looking for a house and you're not going to sell, or you're unlikely to sell, or if you do sell, it'll be to buy another house down the line, then house prices coming down is a good thing. Paid over 60K for my house. It's crazy expensive here. How many rooms does your house have, Zaximus? Because 60K for a house sounds pretty good. I'd pay 60K for a house in Sydney. Yes, we don't have a good time, but we do get kangaroos, so swings and roundabouts. And I think Australia is the only country in the world that eats the animals on its national crest, I should say. It's kangaroo and emu, both of which taste delicious. 5 bedrooms. 5 bedrooms for $600,000, Zaximus. That's not expensive. That's cheap as shit. Where, like, is it in a city or is it in like a rural area? That's why I work 12 hours a day.
Ugh.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah, sorry about that.
You made it.
I think my furnace is getting ready to go out. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna have to get it looked at tomorrow.
Furnace? What?
Yeah.
What do you mean a furnace?
It blows hot air into the house to keep it warm. What do you guys call it?
We don't. I mentioned that it's.
Oh yeah, it's Australia. You're right.
Times, yeah.
40 degrees Celsius.
40
degrees here is cold.
We have air conditioning. 40 degrees. Oh right, yeah. Let me do that for you. Hang on. Celsius, by which I mean correct.
What is that, like always 80 degrees?
By which I mean insane. It's Fahrenheit. 40 degrees Celsius. There's 104 degrees Fahrenheit.
Stupid. Fuck that.
Yeah, that's what we deal with. That's a normal. Actually, 40 degrees Celsius is sort of when we're peaking, right in the middle of summer. A normal temperature in Australia would probably be in summer would probably be around 36 degrees, so about 96.8 degrees Fahrenheit.
Stupid.
That's what we're looking at.
Stupid.
Yeah. Well, that's why we almost had a power outage across all of South Australia in last summer because we were using so many air conditioners, which is not good. The power grid could not support all the air conditioners at once.
I can believe that.
That's why we had that Tesla thing with what's his name, the guy in charge of Tesla, Elon Musk.
Yeah.
He basically said, I can build a power station or whatever in South Australia to fix that issue for you, and if I don't do it within a year or 6 months or whatever he said, it'll be for free.
That doesn't surprise me, dude. That smart fuck could build anything he wanted to.
Well, there's a TV show called Salvation, and I started watching that, and I was like, hang on a minute, this guy here is basically just, discount Elon Musk, isn't it? They just couldn't afford the real Elon Musk to play the show, so they changed the name and everything, It's currently -8 degrees. Where are you living? The North Pole? What's going on?
Let me see what it is here. It is...
That's -8. Oh, -8 degrees Celsius. Okay.
Right.
I thought it was -8 Fahrenheit.
Right now it's 27 here.
27 degrees Fahrenheit?
32 is the freezing level, temperature-wise, for us.
32. Yeah, because that's 0 degrees Celsius.
Yeah. And
it's got a C for correct.
So basically it's 3 below that, or 5 below that.
Yeah. It's about 2.7, so yeah, about -3 degrees. Yeah, that's none of that.
Yeah, that's stupid cold.
No, we don't have we have heaters because obviously it gets 17 degrees Celsius in winter, which is, that's basically freezing. That's 62 degrees.
Oh man.
So that's what we count as cold. Like if it gets below 17 degrees, we're like, oh, get me a jumper. That's as cold as it gets. And we have the heaters on and all this, but it doesn't get cold. But that's the thing. I went to Norway, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, they had, it easily gets to below 0 in winter, right? And so we went over there, and I was like, oh, so Australians have no idea what a real winter is. This is a real winter. But then in summer, you know, it's hitting like 10 degrees Celsius or something stupid like that, and they're all walking around in shorts like, oh, it's so hot. I'm like, no, it's not. Don't get me started on what hot is, because this is not hot. This is cold, and you fucking know it.
Oh, dude, another 100 bits. Thank you, man. He's thrown 100 bits like every half an hour since we've been live.
Yeah, I think it's
thank
like
you, man.
500 bits now.
Yeah. He always does this shit, man. He's awesome.
It's all right. I'll recruit him to my stream. It'd be great. No.
He's a good brother.
Man, I wish my brother did that. My brother's
another
a dick.
100. Jesus. Man.
My brother's a dick. He's over in Norway right now looking after our aging great-grandfather not being here for me.
What a selfish piece of shit. And another 100.
I know, right?
Oh my god.
He's going to spam your channel.
If only I could do this every time I streamed with people. But I'm not that entertaining. I'm dumb. So
So to be fair, 90% of my stream is just screaming at the game for being shit.
Same.
When it's clearly my fault.
I used to do that a lot when I played Fortnite a lot, but I hate it now, so I don't even touch it. So I play games that aren't Fortnite.
I played Fortnite when it wasn't, like, it was pretty big, but it wasn't as big as it was. And that was all right. But now I play it and I jump in and there's a kid like, does anyone have a mic? And I'm like, I can't answer that question. Because if you do, the FBI will be all over my house, and that's not good. It's so
100.
irritating, and they just keep talking. I think the thing that I find the most irritating, though, is children doing Fortnite dances, or anyone really, but just when they do it, it's so obnoxious.
I don't mind the hype behind it. Like, I can totally get excited for a really good video game. Like when I was a D1 beta player. I played it during beta. I loved it. I loved Destiny. That's all I did. Lived, breathed, ate it, slept it, dreamed about it. And you know, I don't play it anymore because D2 sucks. But I loved it, and there were a ton of people that cosplayed it all the time, and there were a ton of people that loved it just as much as I did. And it was a good community, and it was fun, and we did Destiny shit, and we did stuff in the game like that. You know, we did all the same shit because we enjoyed it and it was fun. And I think that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think if I was probably like a 12-year-old kid playing Fortnite, I'd do the same shit too. But man, if
I don't know what it is. It just irritates me when I see it happen. But speaking of, did you see what happened to Ninja during the New Year's Eve party in New York?
Dude, it's one of those Jake Paul situations, my friend. I can't watch Ninja anymore. I refuse to. I unfollowed him.
He went to the party, the New York Times Square party thing or whatnot, and there was a DJ playing. It was raining and the place was packed, so it wasn't the greatest area to do it. But then he got up on stage and tried to get everyone to do the floss or whatever the fuck it's called, and no one did it.
Nobody ever does.
Awkward.
Nobody ever does.
I watched it and went, yes, the correct amount of people not doing the floss. It's good.
Zach, you are crazy with the bits, man. Thank you so much for that. He's doing a different emote every time he sends the bits, which I think is hilarious. Well,
he can, you know. He just won big at blackjack, didn't he?
Yeah, he makes good money. It's fine. But no,
Ninja doing bad things now. No, Ninja's not doing bad things. He's just doing cringy things.
He's not doing bad things. He did a bad thing, which I don't agree with
Did
that
he?
whole. Yeah, man. He. Zach, thank you. I'm gonna say thank you every time.
Oh yeah,
dude.
man, it's so hard getting paid money by people, isn't it? It's just so hard. Someone's got to do it.
It feels weird just getting donations just for running like the podcast or running a stream. It feels weird to me because I'm used to going back to like the hardworking American sort of thing of, you know, it's like I feel like this isn't really work for me because I like to do it and I love it and it comes easy to me and I can talk to people all day like this. And
it doesn't mean it's not work. It just means you enjoy it.
It means I enjoy it and it comes easy to me. But for other people, it's not. But it's for the beer.
It's for the beer, not the podcast. Oh, that's good.
but I could do this 12 hours a day and I would be totally fine. But the difference is that I love it, and one day I hope to. So I'm
Oh yeah.
going to work on it. Eventually, hope to do that. But the
Oh,
podcast is
absolutely.
sponsored now, which is really cool. So I have a different sponsor for every podcast that I run. And there's another 100 biddies. You're crazy. Thank you, man.
Whew.
That's a lot of
So
bits.
what happened with Ninja? I'm interested now.
Okay, so during a Fortnite match,
Yes.
he got down under like the top 10 or whatever, and there's this very discernible video um, where a kid just one shot sniped him, headshot him, killed him. It happens.
Oh
It's
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
happen, and he got so upset by it. He reported the kid for stream sniping. The kid,
Yeah.
the kid, um, literally did not stream snipe him, but in the past, that kid was known for stream sniping people, but he strictly proved at that particular time that he did not stream snipe. He got reported for it. Obviously all of Ninja's millions of viewers went after the kid, raised hell
Mm.
for the kid, caused a bunch of problems, harassed him, did all this bullshit, caused a lot of problems for the kid, and long story short, the the kid said he just played the game and played it better than him that one time and won the
Yeah.
match because he sniped him, and he did.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the thing that really bugged me about it is the way he handled it, because again, if you look at whether you want to look at Ninja or whether you want to look at Trump, when you're in that number one position, the whole world's watching you, and you better act like a leader and not like a fucking asshole. And
Oh yeah, yeah. Because now that I think about it, I've seen a whole bunch of videos where Ninja like says something, like don't bully kids or stuff like don't be a bully in school, and then there's like another clip of him being a complete dick to some kid who killed him,
yeah,
and he just
yeah.
it's not good.
And on this particular occasion, his crew went after the kid, of course, because it's the internet. Some of that's to be expected. But once everything was found out that the kid didn't stream snipe him, he didn't even bother to offer an apology to the kid. He didn't even,
Mm, mm, mm.
that kid probably sat there, and I assume that he probably looks up to the guy. Otherwise, the kid wouldn't be playing Fortnite and, going after
Sure.
Ninja and doing all that shit. A lot of
Yeah,
kids
yeah,
looked up
yeah.
to the dude. And what he's doing is he's setting a precedent, saying to thousands of people at one time that, hey, it's okay to act like an asshole when you don't get your way. So when somebody kills you,
Mm,
throw a fit. Here's how I'm going to lead by example. And
yeah. I think it's important if you're going to be a leader, if you're going to be an influencer, one of the things you have to be able to do is you have to be able to admit when you were wrong, and that's important.
yeah,
Not only is it just good manners, but it also shows your credibility that you're capable of saying, "Yeah, I was wrong, and I've changed my opinion, and I'm sorry about that," or whatever happened.
Andy, what's up,
It's an
man?
important skill.
So here's a funny story. Andrew Lee TV right there. He's one of my best friends in the world. He's like a brother to me. But I sent him a text earlier while you were talking, and I was like, hey, this guy that's on my podcast with me right now is like your Australian twin, because you guys do look a lot alike.
Thanks, man.
No, you really do. I'll have to find.
I don't have the makeup on that I usually have for my stream, because it's all like Norse stuff, Viking,
Oh, sweet, yeah,
and all that. So
yeah,
I have like face makeup that goes around my eyes,
really.
and stuff. And I try and sort of not fade it, but like spike it out to the side so it sort of looks like wings in a way. I'm not very good at it at the moment, but I'm getting better at it. But it came from I watched Vikings, and I think it's Lagatha has it
Mhm.
on her face, and I thought that looks awesome. So I started doing it.
Cool. Oh, by the way, my
Yeah,
brother's going to bed. So, Zach, good night if you're still here, man. Thank you so much for the bits, dude. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming in.
See you, Zach.
But no, after that whole ninja thing there, where that kid sniped him and he threw a fit and all kinds of shit happened, and he didn't even bother to offer an apology, I unfollowed him. After that, I said, you know what?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not somebody I want to represent. That's not somebody I want to give my money to. So,
No,
not gonna
no,
do-
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're going to, but I mean, there's a couple of things like obviously, even if you're a dick, you're still going to say stuff that's true. So I'm not saying that feel sad for him, but he does point out a good point for streamers, which was when he went to the Comic-Con or whatever the hell thing he went to, the championship thing he went to for Fortnite.
Mm-hmm.
He was there for 3 days and he didn't stream in that time. And just because he didn't stream in those 3 days, he lost 40,000 subscribers.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, everyone says, "Oh, streaming's easy and stuff." It's kind of not, because you're constantly under pressure to perform.
When you're
So
I don't know, man.
I'm not saying what he did. I'm not saying what he does is okay and all that. I'm just saying that, like, he sort of proves to other streamers, if you want to be a streamer, it's not easy, stream. There's stuff going on. You constantly got to be on.
It's never easy
It
to be.
It doesn't excuse bad behavior, but you will be under the gun. Don't look at it like an easy way out of going into a job.
It's never easy, no matter what it is, to be the top dog in anything, because you're at the top and everybody underneath you is trying to kill you or take you over or whatever. Yeah. And it's not easy because you always have to be 110%. I don't necessarily like that kind of pressure. Like, realistically, if I had, let's just say, like, my podcast was the #1 podcast,
sure,
I would, in the back of my head, I would be panicking because I was saying, fuck, what do I do next? What do I do next? Should I...
Well,
yeah, that's where you get into a Logan Paul incident.
And go
exactly.
Because that is not what you do.
Exactly. And I'm certainly not going to do that.
Go to Japan and you try the food and you try the different culture. That's what you do, not the forest. So away from the forest.
I'm not going to do that, and I'm certainly not going to yell at some little kid just because I wasn't my best for that 1 second and faltered and lost. Yeah. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to say, GG, kid, you got me. That was a good game. Let's go again. And I'm probably going to invite that kid to be my friend. Or you have to understand that that thing that you do doesn't necessarily represent you, but it represents the community that you developed. And those are the kind of people you want to keep around, is that you don't want to have sore losers. You don't want Ninja to harbor all of that negative shit and then teach people how to be assholes when they don't get what they want.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He should have just stopped all of that shit before it happened. When he got shot, he should have he could have gotten mad. It's a stream. I get mad all the time too, and I curse and shit on my stream when I get killed. But at the end of the day, I'm saying, good game, dude. You got me. It's true. There's nothing else. What are you gonna do? I'm not gonna go after somebody,
like, there's been times where I've been killed out of the blue, like in PlanetSide, because it's a client side game. It's what can happen is you can run around a corner, but on the other person's screen you haven't got around the corner yet, and they can kill you, even though it feels like you're safe on your end. Or in games like Overwatch, it feels like you're safe, but they've seen a part of you. And I can get irritated that I died. I can get really annoyed by that. But I wouldn't for a moment go and get angry at the person. Because really what happened there is they outplayed me. And for me to get angry at them would be sort of, in a way, to go against what I stand for, which is that I stand for getting good at stuff. I stand for putting in the effort. So if they've put in the effort and they're better than me, and or they got a little bit luckier than me and they took that opportunity, I can't get angry about that. That's what getting good is. That's exactly what I stand for. So I get annoyed at myself for making the mistake of being in that situation, but I also support them in their actions of beating me, because that's how we get good.
Yeah, absolutely. And no, you're absolutely right about the Overwatch thing, because it happens to me all the time. Is like when I think I'm behind a wall and I still die and I see the kill cam from their side, you're sticking out 5 feet away from the wall and I'm watching all these kill cams all the time, and I'm like, what the fuck? And
because they're at an angle that you didn't sort of think about, and then like you'll play as Bastion, like he's my #1 go-to defense, and I'll hunker down behind what I think is a wall, but I haven't sort of calculated how far my barrel is out of the wall. So I'll just be shooting, and then they'll snipe the end of my barrel. And, I'll sort of think, that's really stupid. You can't kill someone by shooting their gun. But the game says that's in the hitbox. They took the opportunity. They killed me. Fair enough.
Yeah, and I think don't get me wrong, I love Overwatch. I really do. I like it more than I ever liked Fortnite. I love Overwatch. It's a great game. But if you've been around for like 13 seasons, like Overwatch has, you would think that they would design the hitboxes around each individual character to not be able to be killed by getting shot in your gun. But
that's the game.
They know better than me.
it sort of leads into my sort of other position, which is important for people like Ninja, and I guess for people like you and me as well, which is you should. I'm sure I've failed at this more times than I realize and more times than I'd like, but I do my best to try and live by this, which is you should always be aiming up. You should always be aiming. If you have a problem with something, you should be aiming up. You don't hit the guy below you. You hit the game or the people that can actually do something about it. You know, I think there's a line in Saving Private Ryan where they're complaining about the mission, and they ask the general, "Oh, what do you think of the mission?" And he says, I don't have an opinion. "Oh, but if you did have an opinion, what would you say?" And he'd say, "Well, I'd say, you know, it's a very good mission, and I really appreciate it and all this." And he's saying good stuff about the mission. And he says, you know me, you know the rules. Complaints go up, not down." And the same is true. It's a good rule to live by, because the same is true for getting angry as well. Anger goes up, it doesn't go down. You shouldn't get angry at the kid who snipes you in a game. You should get angry at Fortnite for creating a game where you can get shot, or Overwatch I should say, where you can get shot in the gun and it kills you.
Oh yeah.
You should direct your anger at people who are strong enough and strong enough to take it and capable of doing something about it, not the kids who are just playing.
Oh no, absolutely. You're absolutely right. I mean, there have only been a couple times where I went after specific people when stupid shit like that happened, especially when PUBG first came out, because I played that a lot in beta. See,
it's so
the situation when you and you would get the hackers,
I mean,
and you would get the wall.
Says it bad.
Yeah.
He's like, you get sniped from over 2 kilometers away by a tiny little pixel that you didn't think was as menacing as the other ones.
You were just headshot by a pistol from a guy who's behind 2 mountains. What do you think happened?
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks a lot, PUBG. Thanks a fucking lot. You ruined a match. I was doing good. I had 5 kills, and this dude snipes me with a pistol from 1,000 yards away.
Yeah. So, I mean, if someone's hacking it, then obviously they have the power to do something about it. And fair enough, get angry at them.
Yeah.
But if you're just playing the game as is intended to play, like that kid was playing Fortnite, you can't get angry at them. That's not the right thing in any sense of the word.
No.
And you have a duty to be better than anyone else. If you are sort of like Ninja or PewDiePie or Logan Paul, you have sort of been elevated to this Superman position, where I know it's hard and you're probably going to fail a couple of times, but you have to always do the right thing.
Well,
you have to.
I think PewDiePie did one really bad thing when he wished death upon all people and paid some people to do that and thought it would be a funny joke.
I think PewDiePie did a whole bunch of bad things, didn't he? I know he said it was a joke, but didn't he get it was on Fiverr and he got a couple of people to do some really not good things, I should say. But he got all his deals pulled as well, like Disney pulled and stuff.
It's not racist to say it. I'm going to say it because I don't give a shit. It's my podcast. Actually, I do give a shit, but it's not racist. But what he did, you guys, was he hired some people on Fiverr. I believe they were from, I want to say, they were either from, I think, Nigeria. I think.
Something like that. They were in Africa somewhere.
They were in Africa somewhere, but he hired these guys, paid them to paint a sign and make a video. And on that sign, it said "Death to all Jews." And for some reason, PewDiePie thought that would be funny. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. And
it's not that funny. I think he was going for that Logan Paul shock thing,
I think he was too, and it totally backfired, because shit like that will always backfire on you. It will always backfire no matter what you do.
But then in the same video, he also had, I think this compounded it. This made it worse. He also had that guy who dressed up as Jesus to make videos, and he had Jesus say Hitler did nothing wrong.
Yeah,
which I don't support, by the way. I'm just quoting. I'm not actually saying that. But in the same video, those two things, they're not going to work well together if you're trying to defend yourself.
Those absolutes like that, dude, they never seem to work. Hey, Vlad, what's going on? That's our favorite Russian right there, by the way. He's a good dude.
Okay, I was trying to read through the name. I was like, wait, that says friendly, not Vlad.
Friendly neighborhood Vlad. I just call him Vlad.
Yes.
But no, he's a great dude. He's super funny, dude. You should watch him sometime. He did a podcast with me.
Vlad has directed me to a website that doesn't exist. Mr.Man does not exist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know why, but it's a hyperlink, so I clicked on it and it didn't work.
Better be careful what you're clicking. You're gonna wind up on some weird
Yeah,
shit.
it could have been a. Well, I'm glad that Vlad did not want to hack my computer there.
He is a Russian. You never know. He's probably good at hacks. He's
He
probably got some
probably
master
did
hacks.
something.
He's gonna be meddling in your computer.
Oh, link to meat spin. Oh god.
Lemon party.
Jeez. Oh, that could have gone a lot worse than it did.
That's all right.
But yeah, I mean, it's really hard, and it's also I get the sort of thing, like, if I'm at this level where I always have to do the right thing, then what am I gonna do to grab people's attention? Those are sort of they're two different things, and it's hard to meld them together. I get that, but at the same time, don't walk into a suicide forest and laugh at corpses and then put a video up on YouTube. That's just a bad, stupid thing to do.
So stupid. Oh man.
I mean, I could. There might maybe you could come at the argument that now that it's been done, we know that's a stupid thing to do. But even then, like, common sense would tell you it's probably not the best idea in the world.
Oh, you see, I think that's the tool he was lacking in his belt, was the common sense thing.
Maybe. I mean, there's the rule with Hollywood. Basically, the age that you go into Hollywood is the age that you stay when you're there. This was sort of said about Michael Jackson, which is basically, he came in as a kid, and that's sort of the mental age he stayed.
Well, he also was really fucked up as a kid too. He got beat and abused, and
yeah. So there's stuff, but that was basically sort of the idea. That's where you go in. So I can sort of see that you would get blinded from common sense by going in and being a YouTube superstar, but it doesn't excuse the fact that they did something fucking stupid. So I mean, basically what I'm saying is I empathize, but come on, there's only so much empathy I have.
I have empathy, but when it comes to stupid things that you've done purely by your own decision making on purpose, it's hard for me to have any empathy or sympathy. I
think people make mistakes. People are going to make mistakes. You're always going to make mistakes, and you should be able to walk away from your mistakes and try again. But at the same time, you should learn from them. And what Logan Paul showed was that he didn't learn from them. What PewDiePie showed is he didn't learn from them. And what Ninja has shown repeatedly is that he hasn't learned from them. I think that's the problem I have with them, is that they just keep doing the same shit.
Yeah. They don't fucking stop either. There's just like...
No, exactly. And I mean...
Train's going to Cringeville. Let's go. Non-stop.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what do you do at that point if they just keep doing the same shit? And YouTube's not going to do anything about them. Of course they're not, because they make too much money off them. They're going to do some half measure, like, they increased what you had to do to get monetized.
Yeah.
Because of Logan Paul. That was basically their response. And like, I looked at that as someone who was posting on YouTube, like, hang on a minute, how would that possibly affect Logan Paul? That doesn't make any sense at all.
It doesn't. They penalize the little guy.
Okay. Yeah, so it just seems insane how much YouTube lets them get away with it, until you realize just how much money YouTube's making, and then you're like, I see now. I get it.
Yes. If we don't have money, we can no longer be YouTube. And if we don't make any money for YouTube, we can't buy that next car. We can't go on our vacation. We won't be able to go to Disneyland this year with our family if we do this. You guys, is this worth it?
No Disneyland.
When you have fuck you money, that's what they're doing. YouTube has fuck you money. And they're going to be like, all right.
PewDiePie made £12 million last year or the year before or whatever. Point is that basically
every year.
Surely you can retire at that point. Surely you're like, yeah, I probably shouldn't make any more Nazi videos. I'm out. Bye.
But at the same time, he's probably saying, well, I still make $12 million a year doing it, so I'm probably still going to do it. I don't know. Vlad, thank you for the 100 bits, man. That's awesome. I appreciate that.
Nice work, Vlad.
I hope and pray one day there's a day that I make fuck you money, so I can just do this all day.
Buy another car.
I can just do this all day, man. I'm not gonna flaunt it. I'm not gonna like go out and buy 10 Lamborghinis. I'm gonna live in a modest house that's paid off. And I'm gonna buy like if I have like $12 million a year, I live in a place that's low income. I'm probably gonna move to a little bit. You know,
Then I won't be here anymore.
I'm not gonna live in a
No,
place. I'm not gonna buy $1 million
fair.
fucking house. You know, if I make $12 million a year, I can totally justify buying a house that's like $500,000. But I'm gonna make sure it's paid off, and I'm gonna buy it in cash, so it's mine.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna buy a couple nice vehicles. I'll probably have a car and an SUV, and they're gonna be paid off. And then I'm gonna have fuck you money every year. And then I'm gonna do the projects that I want to do because I can afford it, not because I have to do it to survive. Because I live well above and beyond my means. It's because I can afford it. Hey, you want to do this project where you hire people on Fiverr to say death to one group of people? No. Well, you're going to get a lot of views.
No.
Well, that's fucking stupid, and I don't have to do it because that's dumb. You know.
I mean, I think there is an argument to be made, and I think it's a fairly solid argument. You don't have to do stupid shit to get views. I mean, we're not doing stupid shit now. We're sort of bordering on the argument of gun control and that sort of stuff. We have done that, but it's not like we're doing anything stupid to get views, and people are watching, people are commenting. You know.
Well,
so you don't have to do that to get views.
You don't have to do. You don't have
to do. It just seems like a quick cash grab, really.
Yeah. In my experience, man, you don't have to do anything to get views. You don't have to.
You have to do something. Something has to happen.
I don't think that you have to. I don't think it's a necessity to become a puppet for people just to garner views.
Oh, right. No, I see what you mean. Because I was going to start a new stream that was just a white screen constantly, and then really test that theory that you don't have to do anything. Because I'm pretty sure you have to do something.
Okay, I'm going to tell you what. I've got a friend who we had this ongoing joke because he liked to get up out of his chair while he was streaming, and a lot of times he would fall asleep out of his chair, and it would be his chair on stream for hours and hours. And chair stream would get 25 views at a time, 30.
Jeez.
It became its own channel, and it's a thing. Chair stream is a thing.
Oh, bloody hell. I mean, I reckon that you could make a pretty good stream out of streaming a potato growing.
You probably could, man. There's something out there for everybody, man. I'm sitting here doing a podcast. Granted, the people that are here are my good friends, and I've known these people for a long time, and they're great people. But there have been a couple people that came in and followed tonight, and it works. There's something out there for everybody.
Yeah.
But you don't have to. You don't have to do anything outlandish to get views. You do what you do.
What it's called. It might be pitch, but there was a very viscous liquid that I think was so viscous that people actually thought it was a solid for a while, or something. There might be some story around it. I can't remember quite what the story is, but basically that was live streamed because people realized that it actually was a liquid and it actually would drop. And I think the difference between like one drop and the next was like 30 years or something.
Oh my
so like
God.
People tuned in to this, once in a 30-year period drop of this liquid as it dropped out of its vial. And I'm like, yeah, okay, so you can make a live stream from almost literally nothing. Nothing is happening except a very small amount. And then people will watch.
That's almost as exciting as watching, like if that's that little like DVD icon on the TVs in high school that used to bounce around.
Yes, bouncing
the screen like this.
That's the thing. Like people went mad about that.
Yes, it's because it would go like this, and it was like, oh my God, is it gonna go? Is it gonna go? And then it hits, boosh, nope, psych, boosh, and then eventually, like 45 minutes later, you're like in the middle of a conversation with your friends, and it's going, and you're like, you happen to see it. Oh my God, you guys! Oh, and then it does it.
And then it does it.
You feel like you won the fucking lottery. And I think it has to do with
Faith
that.
said they do stupid shit all the time, Yogscast, I mean. And I think just going back to the stupid shit, like that's a good point that people would get excited for the bounce play button. So it doesn't take much to excite people. So I think I may have been wrong by saying you don't have to always do stupid shit. People will get excited by stupid shit. You don't have to do hateful stupid shit. But they Yogscast do stupid shit. There's a thing I like. I can't remember what it's called, but they basically just drop stuff constantly.
Oh yeah.
I think they're an Australian group, and they'll drop a giant dart or a washing machine on trampoline or something like that, and they get heaps of views, and that's stupid shit, but it's fun to watch.
It is.
So you know, you can do stupid shit just as long as it's not targeting, attacking, or insulting another group.
Oh, you mean that
That's
doesn't
really
work?
what I think it's down to.
You mean
Well, I mean, it worked. They got many views out of it, but
define
it didn't
work?
work in the long term. I don't think it was the views they were looking for.
I really like to watch those YouTube videos of people, the guys who have the pistons that are pressurized for like 2,000 pounds of pressure or whatever, and they just smash stuff.
That just came out of nowhere, and they were hugely successful.
Yeah,
I don't understand what, like, it was just nice.
those things get like
Oh, and by
25
the way,
million
just
views a video.
So that I don't get sued out of nowhere. In PewDiePie's defense, he did say in that video where he had that stuff happen, he was holding his mouth in horror, and he was like, I didn't expect them to actually do it. I thought they'd send it back. But
That's
the fact
true, he
is,
did.
he still sent them the money and still asked them to say it. So,
I mean,
there's a certain limit where I didn't think they would do it, sort of falls a little short.
yeah, I think I'm not going to say that he said that to cover his tracks, but what I am going to say is that they said in the description of their account, of their profile, that if you send the money and say what you want us to do, we're going to do it. It was pretty well defined, so it's kind of hard to argue that, but I get it.
Yeah. No, I can understand the idea of, pushing the boundaries. Exactly how comfortable are people with saying stuff? Because I sort of tend to push the boundaries. I make fun of people by pushing stuff as well. But I don't push it by insulting them or making them feel bad about their religion or color or anything like this.
No, that's stupid shit.
There's ways of doing it. And that was the wrong way to push the boundary.
Yeah. I think one of my ideas that I had a long time ago was that I was going to make...
Faith is right, by the way. She says Andy still made the video, which really is the sort of big point about, Ninja and PewDiePie and Logan Paul, that they still got the footage. In Ninja's case, it was live streamed, but they still got the footage and decided to put it online. There's still that middle step where they're like, yes, this is acceptable.
It still happened. They still did it. It's not cool, but one of the videos I wanted to do was I wanted to get like a bunch of kittens. Like, I'm talking like 5, and just like put them in a pen. No, seriously, I was just going to put them in a pen and just live stream them interacting with each other all day. That was...
Well, I reckon live stream a potato growing. That'd actually work.
I think it would. Or something that grows a little bit faster,
or
like lettuce or something. Something that tends to grow pretty quick. Yeah.
For 5 years, you watch bamboo, it does nothing, and then in 30 seconds, it just boom and comes out of the ground.
Or you could do a bonsai tree stream where you just stream your bonsai tree growing for 500 years and it stays the same size.
Hopefully you get 25 viewers at all times. It'll work.
Knowing what I do about the internet and Twitch and people loving cats and kittens, I think they would really love to just somebody having a bad day to get off work off the shittiest day ever and be like, I'm gonna watch that dude who has the stream where he just streams his kittens, and I'm just gonna sit here because I had a crappy day. I'm gonna eat some ice cream. I'm gonna watch cats.
So of course the Russian is happy with the potato stream.
Of course. Thank you for the host, by the way. Oh fuck! Of course they have it. It's called Kitten Academy. Shit.
Well, they haven't made Potato Academy yet, so guess I'm still in the running.
I wonder if they made a Puppy Academy or Puppy Cam. I'm sure they did. But cats are... I don't know, man.
The problem with like a kitten cam or a puppy cam is what happens when they get too big? Because then you got 5 cats on your hands. Then you have to replace them with 5 different cats, and it's just a never-ending cycle. And do you get rid of the cats, or do you keep them? If you keep going, you're going to end up with 100 cats in your house.
True. Yeah, you could foster them out, but I think I would foster them out when they become cats, and then at the point that they become assholes is when I would foster them out. And I just...
What, cats?
Yeah, because kittens are cool,
like cats
but then they
myself,
turn into cats, and then they turn into assholes at that point. And then I would foster them out. I'd be like, hey, hey kid, you want this asshole? Take him out of my house. Okay.
Of course, Vlad knows how many pounds of potatoes it takes to make a bottle of vodka.
He knows everything about potatoes. Everything. You should hear his accent. It's pretty cool.
I mean, vodka is one of the few drinks that I actually I would actually drink. Vodka and cider, which are obviously apparently I only drink things from Sweden. Both of them come from Sweden, because Absolute and Recordling.
I like
really good.
I like Fireball, and I like Blue Moon, and I like Killian's Irish Red, and I really like Guinness a lot.
So just things that make you blind. That's
it's probably the Italian part of my DNA. I'm sure. I don't know.
no, that's wine, mate. You're thinking of wine there.
I like it all. I mean, it's whatever. I like wine too. I like all wines. There's not a wine that I don't like.
No, no, Fireball is a type of tequila, isn't it?
It's a whiskey. It's a cinnamon whiskey.
Whiskey's wait. Oh, okay. I thought it was tequila, and I was going to point out that that would be Spanish, not Italian. But even so, whiskey is Scottish, I think.
Yeah, Fireball and cider is amazing. You know what else is really good?
Or American, actually, because I seem to have really grabbed that market.
Fireball and mixed in with orange juice is really good, by the way.
Really, vodka and orange juice is called a screwdriver.
It is. It is. I don't mind those. Yeah. My friend and I, the same one.
No, never had them.
They're not bad, but my friend,
okay.
the one friend I told you about earlier, where we bought the shoes, the same guy.
Right. Yes. Yes.
We invented this drink, and we didn't have a name for it, so we just called it Blue, because it was blue when he mixed it.
Okay.
And
right.
We were idiot kids, so you know.
You were gonna call it brown, but you know how people are. You have to spell everything out for them.
No, it's just blue because it's all blue raspberry stuff. But we would get some vodka. We would get some Grey Goose. You mix in about 2 shots of Grey Goose. Then I don't know if they have. I'm sure they probably have a similar flavored kind of Kool-Aid cheap version drink in a gallon jug. It's like the cheap version of Kool-Aid, and it's all flavored of like blue raspberry, cherry.
A gallon?
Hang on.
We use liters over here.
I don't know the
liters. Liters. 1 gallon is 3. What the hell is?
Almost 4 liters. Almost 4 liters.
How much are you people drinking?
It lasts a while.
You don't need. Yeah, no shit. I would hope so.
You think we just sit there and drink the whole gallon like it's a can of pop?
Yeah, 1 gallon of drink, and I'll just swig it in one go.
No.
And then I'll have 7 more.
Yeah, me and Andy have a lot of Fireball nights, but
genuinely, by the way, that's one of the weirdest things, because obviously you guys fought against the Imperial British and all this, and you there's always the anti-British stuff that you see, but then you kept the Imperial system. You didn't move to the metric system.
Dude,
why?
It's some old school shit. It's some old school, like, that's like the old Vietnam mentality, like, nope, ain't fucking doing it, ain't never gonna change it. And that's about the time when they wanted to change it, and then those kind of guys just were like, nope, fuck you, fuck everybody else, it's America, we're doing it. And then that just stayed, dude. They tried to do it, they tried to teach it in schools, it just didn't stick. It didn't stick.
That's right, you guys did actually adopt it for a little while.
They tried, it just didn't work.
Yeah.
Gotta go to bed, need rest for tomorrow's craziness. All right, man, thank you for being here, thank you for the bits, dude. Thanks for telling us about potatoes. Potato. But yeah, that one friend of mine and I, we made this drink. It was 2 shots of Grey, and then we would take the 3.78541 liter.
You mean a gallon, right?
Yes, that. And we would buy one of those at the store, and it was this like blue raspberry flavored drink that was literally just like blue raspberry flavoring, blue food coloring, and like sugar water sort of thing. The cheapest shit ever. And we would mix that in with a Grey Goose, and then we would get a bunch of frozen popsicles. I don't know if they call them popsicles in Australia. What do you guys call them?
We'll call them popsicles. We know that word. We probably call them ice blocks, or icicles.
That's called an ice cube in America. What?
No. So we have Zupa Dupas, which are great.
The fuck is that?
Those are ice blocks.
Oh, those are.
Or we call them icy poles, generally, actually.
Oh, I think you're making it up, but I believe you.
No, I can show you a picture of an icy pole if you want. I think we have Golden Gaytime ice cream as well. We have an ice cream called Golden Gaytime, which is great.
I'm gonna have to. We need to just like have a conversion chart of Aussie to English, American English.
Oh, so do you know what a Yui is?
Nope.
Do
That's
you know what a U-turn is?
that's we use that phrase too. I was hoping that's what
What
it
do you,
was. I was hoping it wasn't
a
something
U-turn?
else.
Yeah.
It's synonymous with
No,
U-turn. Yeah.
Yui. Yeah, Yui is you say chuck a Yui, and it means do a U-turn.
We don't say chuck a Yui. We say pull a Yui.
No, chuck a Yui. That's
And
famous.
we don't say Macca's. We just say McDonald's.
No, it's Macca's.
No,
Macca's.
it's McDonald's.
Then you go down to the service station for some petrol, because it's petrol and it's not a gas; it's a liquid.
Wow. We just
That's
go to
always
the.
confused me. I know. I worked out eventually that it meant gasoline, but it always confused me that in America it's called gas, but it's a liquid. I'm like, what?
Petroleum, gasoline. Yeah, I mean, I get it, but we just call it the gas station.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. So many weird words.
Oh,
Man.
yeah. We got a bird called a kookaburra, which is great.
Yeah, those are cool looking, dude.
Have you heard a kookaburra?
Yeah, it sounds incredibly annoying and obnoxious.
Yeah, well, we don't have them everywhere, but every time you see them, it's really cool, and you hope that they make the noise because it is a pretty cool noise, and it just sounds like laughing.
It does. It just sounds like an exotic rooster. It really does. Think about it. It sounds like a very fancy rooster.
We have kookaroosters. No, that's great. I didn't think of that. They're Australian roosters. That's cool. We have emus as well and cassowaries. Have you ever seen a cassowary?
No.
They're one of the deadliest birds in the world, and they can fuck you up with their faces and with their claws, mostly on their feet.
Everything in your country can fuck people up. Yeah, I know what an emu is. Yeah.
Okay, well, it's basically an emu, but with a horn on its head. Not a sharp horn, but like a rounded sort of horn thing on its head, and big feet, which can kick the shit out of you.
We call that Big Bird on Sesame Street here, sir.
Yeah, Big Bird actually wants to kill everyone. It's one of his suppressed rages. No, we've got that. We've got emus, which taste delicious, by the way. And kangaroo. We've got heaps of kangaroo. It's sort of like running rampant in a way. We actually cook kangaroo, which is great. I mentioned before that Australia is the only country in the world that cooks the animal, that eats the animals on its national crest. Crocodile tastes great as well. I've had a crocodile burger, but no, like genuinely, kangaroo mince. You make spaghetti out of kangaroo mince. It tastes so good because it's
probably
lean.
does,
it's like
though.
beef.
It probably does,
but it tastes a little better and it's got less fat in it, so it's great.
What's an animal that you've not seen that we have?
An animal that I have not seen that you have.
An animal that we have that they don't have in Australia.
Oh, there's a bunch of animals that you guys have that we don't have.
aside from like the normal, like deer and.
So, well, actually, we have deer in Australia, although I don't know if they were introduced. I think they were introduced species.
I think so.
But
Do you
we've
have
got
elk?
Alligators, we've got crocodiles. I don't think we've got elk.
Those things
You
are
guys have got
humongous.
water buffalo, don't you?
No, we don't have water buffalo.
I'm
Water
thinking-
buffalo are in
no,
Africa.
You have buffalo. You have just buffalo. Sorry, just buffalo.
Yeah. Some people,
We
for
don't
some reason,
have-
want to call them bison, but they're buffalo. Whatever.
Well, you can't wash your hands in a buffalo.
They're roaming animals. They're plains animals. They're
Worst
grazers.
joke I've ever told in my life. You can't wash your hands in a buffalo. Obviously, you can wash your hands in a bison.
Yeah.
Most Australian animals are not big, and I'm trying to think if we actually have any animals that sort of like big animals like buffalo that walk on four legs, because we don't really. The biggest animal in Australia that I'm aware of, anyway, is sort of the cassowary, the emu, and the kangaroo. We've got koalas, which we call drop bears to tourists because it's very funny.
You call them drop bears?
We call them drop bears. Yeah. So here's a tip if anyone who comes over to Australia. Australians really like telling tourists about drop bears because drop bears are creatures that are up in the trees, and then they'll drop down on you. And then what we do is we show them a picture of a very angry, wet koala. And they look vicious as fuck.
Oh yeah, they
And
do. I've
so
seen
the
those.
tourists go around going, no, I don't want to get a drop bear on me. And then we all have a very good chuckle.
No,
but they're not real.
I've seen the pictures you're talking about. They look like vicious little, I'm going to bite your head off and eat your soul.
That is real. Koalas are real.
Oh,
but
yeah.
They generally just stick on the trees, and they're not that vicious and aggressive or whatnot. But one of the things you got to remember with koalas, and a lot of people sort of forget this, don't give them water. If there's like fire raging around and they can't get eucalyptus, then give them water. That's important. But usually firefighters will do that. But koalas are not supposed to drink water. It's not like it's bad for them. But it just means that there's a problem because they get all of their water from eucalyptus. And so drinking water is not natural for them. If they're drinking water out of your water bottle, then it means something's gone wrong, basically.
Oh,
I'm not saying that if you give a koala a drink, you're a bad person. It's not like, giving chocolate to a dog.
No.
I'm just saying that giving water to a koala is something. No, hang on, something's not right here.
So, like, if you ever happen to just stroll up on a koala who wants water from your water bottle, can you assume that either A, it's sick, or B, it escaped a fire or something?
It's probably, you're probably not going to run in on that, but if it has, then I would guess that it's sort of escaped a fire. But if it's there, it's like if there's green trees around you, then it's probably going to climb up in the tree. The chance of you running into a koala on the ground looking for water that hasn't climbed green trees nearby is almost nothing.
So,
but that's why I say it's mostly down to firefighters and stuff, because they'll be in the area of fire and they'll give water to the koalas and stuff. But we had this problem a little while ago where there were huge bushfires roaming around, and the koalas would come into people's backyards and drink water out of the dog's water bowl. And everyone thought this was great fun. It was really cool that we were seeing them up close until, we realized, oh, wait, they're doing it because their trees are getting destroyed.
okay.
So I was like, not good. But if you give water to a koala, it's not like you're going to die. It's not a bad thing. You can do it.
Sure.
I'm just saying that you probably don't want to be around. Though, if there's no water source, you probably should. I've phrased this in the wrong way. I'm more sort of saying that if you're giving water to a koala, then something's gone wrong with its environment. It's actually sort of a little bit of a sad thing. You're a good person for doing it, and if you help them, that's great. But it's something bad has happened.
So basically,
and you're probably by a fire, so probably get out of there.
Basically, what you're saying is that in the land of, I live in a place where every animal could kill me and devour my soul. Even our nicest animal is kind of a dick. That's what you're saying.
I wouldn't say that koalas are nice animals. In fact, I'm pretty sure 99%. It's actually true. 99% of koalas or something, they are ravaged by chlamydia. They all have koala chlamydia. So there's that going on.
Well, here's another question: is why do I have to worry about any animal with chlamydia?
Oh, no.
Is there something I need to know about Australians and koalas?
Yeah, so what we do is we go over into the bush and we fuck koalas. No, look, if you're coming to Australia to fuck koalas, then fuck off, because it's not the place for you, all right? Right? That's not what we do.
We do that in Brisbane.
It's just a fact. That's what Brisbane's for. No. I'm just saying it's just a fact that they are sort of ravaged by chlamydia. But generally speaking, koalas don't take water from water bottles or streams or stuff to take it out of eucalyptus leaves. So when they drink from water bowls, it means that their natural environment has been destroyed. That being said, the Australian bush actually sort of needs to be on fire occasionally.
Sure.
And I'm not saying come to Australia and set a fire, because we're going to be really pissed at you if you do that. I'm just saying that when you see Australia on fire, then yes, we want to save all the animals. We want to get all the animals out of there, and we want to save all the people. But it's not like a bad thing in the sense that, like, a fire in America means, all the trees are going to get destroyed, right? In Australia, a lot of the trees actually need that heat of the fire to open up their seed pods and everything, so that they can actually grow more trees. And it's really weird. After a fire in Australia, you'll see all these black trees for a while, but then out of almost nowhere, they'll all just start growing green green leaves all over them. So you'll just see all these black burnt trees with green leaves out of them.
No, they're
That's
just
how the
used to
Australian
that shit
environment
happen.
has been. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, basically
And
that whole
blackbird,
place is just one big ball of fire. I mean, they're used to it.
not joking, genuinely, like like even the Aboriginal people who were here for like, it's possible they were here for like 4 million years. European settlers and stuff. The Aboriginal people engaged in what's called backburning, which I think you guys actually do, like in places in California and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So they were doing backburning and stuff then to make sure that the fire wouldn't come near their homes. And it's not a bad thing. The Australian bush is actually sort of, I don't want to use the word designed, but it's sort of evolved to grow under those conditions.
Well, it's designed to do that, so it replenishes itself. It's a healthy thing. It's a natural thing. It's.
Oh no, I agree. I just the word designed implies that someone created it like.
Yeah,
I
don't know.
I thought we were staying away from political topics.
Trump didn't do it, dude.
But, no, you're right. Trump planted all of our trees.
I planted all the trees in Australia.
Yeah,
They're the best trees, and I'm gonna plant even more. Okay?
I can't do a Trump voice as good as you can. Your Trump's really good. Yeah, no, that's like gum trees and stuff. They grow under the, like, they don't always want to be on fire. It's not good if they're always on fire. But bushfires coming through seasonally are sort of what's supposed to happen. So if you look at Australia and go, it's always on fire, therefore global warming, that's not the argument. The argument is it's been the hottest year on record 5 years in a row. That's your argument there. Not because Australia's on fire.
Yeah, this has been happening for like 5 million years. We're kind of used to it now. It's pretty normal.
In Australia, maybe.
Don't freak out.
I don't think the rest of the world is going to be happy living under Australian conditions.
I don't think so, dude. I'd like it for a little bit, and then once I went to bed sweating and woke up sweating, and then
dude, it's so uncomfortable.
Just thinking about stuff made me sweat. I'd hate it.
Okay, so it's in Western Australia, they get hotter than we do. But in Sydney, we're sort of a subtropical, I don't know how to describe it. Basically, Sydney is humid. It gets humid. Not as humid as Queensland, because they're swampy.
So it's like sub-Saharan then, maybe.
Sort of, kind of. But there's humidity in the air. So when we go to sleep, it's been like a 40-degree day. There's been no rain or anything to cool it down. It'll be 10 o'clock at night, and it'll still be like 35 degrees. And you're trying to sleep, and the heat is just on you. And it's just constantly there, and there's no way for you to sleep. It's insane,
Ugh.
So this is why, it'll be 40 degrees, and people will come into work, and it's like 8 in the morning. It's already hit 36, 37, 38 degrees. People just, we all know nothing's going to be done that day. No work is going to happen in this 40-degree heat. We're just here so the boss doesn't come in and find that we've all stayed home. That's all we're doing today.
I don't blame you for
surviving.
I don't blame you for one bit for having your awesome labor rules.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I think, you mentioned like all the animals are trying to kill you, and the environment is. I think that's sort of why there's that Australian. All other countries have it. I've seen, terrible things happen in America, and people rush to each other's aid. I agree, but in Australia, there's this sense of like the Australian spirit of sticking together because. The environment's constantly trying to kill us. The sun's trying to set us on fire all the time, and the animals all want us dead. So if I don't have to worry about you trying to kill me, that's one less thing for me to worry about. I won't try and kill you. So we leave each other alone because we've got enough problems to deal with everything else. And when something goes wrong, we'll help that person, because if something's gone wrong for them, probably something's going to go wrong for us.
That's because the enemy of your enemy is your friend.
Exactly. So we have this sense of we need to stick together because everything's against us.
We have a sense of camaraderie by mutual hatred. Yeah. So
that's right.
Sounds like a good place to live. I feel like we're painting a good picture.
It's a place where you need common sense, and once you know what you're looking for, then you'll be fine. Right, it's people that come into the country or grow up in the country that don't know how to handle it in a way. Like they'll see a snake and they'll walk up to get a picture.
No,
and it's like, no, if you see a snake, stay away. leave
That's-
it the fuck alone.
No.
Because, you know, if that's a dangerous snake, like in a school, get someone to get rid of it. If it's a dangerous snake just on the road or something, it'll slither off and it'll go live its life. Leave it the hell alone.
Do you like being alive? Yes. Then don't touch the snake.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right. Don't go near the snake. And it's just all these little things of, you know, like common sense, you know, and how to survive in the Australian outback and all this. Like, I don't know how to survive in the desert, but I know how to survive in the bush sort of thing.
Yeah.
'Cause I grew up in the Blue Mountains. That's a bush area. And it's just all this sort of general knowledge that if you talk to most Australians will know, generally speaking, how to survive in Australia. They'll know, don't do this, that's dangerous, this is a bad plant, that sort of stuff, and all this sort of stuff. And once you get that, once you've been there and you're acclimatized to it, then you're fine. But it's just when you sort of first jump in and you're like, this place will be just like Germany or Britain or America, and then you get eaten to death by ants.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we have I think it's like 8 of the top 10 deadliest snakes live in Australia. We've got ants in Hobart that can cause intense pain with their stings. I think it's like the worst ant in the world. There's bull ants just generally in Australia, which are nasty. I have actually had, when I was younger, I had a bull ant crawl up the leg of my pants and bite all the way up.
Nope.
My dad, I think I was like maybe 5 at the time. My dad had to grab me, rush me into the toilets, and just like take off my pants and kill the ant as quickly as he could. Not in a bad way. He was my dad. It wasn't a stranger rushing me into the toilets.
Well, he probably he probably
was doing his
panicked.
job.
I would have panicked too. I'd been like, oh my god, this ant's gonna bite my kid's dick off.
It was like, okay, the ant is like this big.
It doesn't matter. It's an Australian
I'm not
ant.
that
That thing's a
badly
superhero.
well endowed, mate.
It's that. That ant is a superhero. Okay, the ants here are about like this size. Okay, so when we see one that's about the size of my eyeball, and we see an ant like that, I guarantee you, every person that lives here is gonna be like, "Fuck that ant! I'm gonna die if that thing touches me. I'm gonna die."
I think there was a family in Australia that moved over to Britain, right? Or something happened. I can't remember quite how, but basically, there were the shipping containers sent over with their stuff. And what happened was there was a huntsman spider, which is generally about this big or so.
Nope.
And it stayed in the shipping container. And when the removalists came to take all the stuff out, they saw the spider and they just legged it out of there. They just fucked off after seeing the spider. But if you live in Australia, what you do know is that huntsman spiders are not dangerous. Huntsmans don't make webs, and they catch cockroaches and other creepy crawlies and stuff. So actually having one in your house is not a bad idea. You get one huntsman in your living room and you should be fine, and all the bugs will be gone, you know, as long as it doesn't come into your bedroom.
That's kind of like we have some here that are called daddy long-leg spiders.
We have daddy long legs, but I think they're a little bit different.
Ours are just like, they have this round body, and then their legs are just like pin thin. They're just they're like the Slender Man of spiders. And a lot of people are afraid of those, but they're the nicest spiders ever. Those are like the little innocent kitten spiders. They don't bite. They don't do anything besides eat bugs and have babies and spawn more spiders that eat bugs. So if you have them in your house, it's a good thing for here.
Yeah, we noticed that in our house, if we have daddy long legs, what'll happen is we'll have a whole bunch of little daddy long legs, and then just over time, the little daddy long legs will disappear, and we'll have one big daddy long leg. But then the big daddy long legs will die, and then you'll have a whole bunch of little daddy long legs competing again.
Well,
but in Australia,
that's because the females are bigger than the males, and then they eat the males.
I think that's true for daddy long legs. I think it's true for most spiders. Yeah, but we have the redback spider, which is the second deadliest spider in the world.
That sounds horrible just by the name.
Yeah, it's got a red back, but those are found in like sheds and like near rusty equipment and whatnot. So you don't tend to find those in the city. What we do have in the city though is the funnel web spider.
Yep.
Now the funnel web spider is fun because it makes a funnel of a web.
Yes,
and they like to do it in like in windowsills. You'll often see. Not always. If you see a windowsill with a spider in it, it's not necessarily a funnel web, but they like that area and they'll make a funnel of a web
I've seen those
in the windowsill. And the one thing that they're not big. They're maybe about this size or maybe a little bit bigger, but they're big and they're black. And if you see one of them in their web or crawling around, don't touch it. Don't go near it, okay? Because they are the only spider that I am aware of, and I've been told they're the only spider that will defend itself rather than run away, right?
Nice.
And yeah, what they do is kind of freaky. Other spiders, because other spiders evolved later, they have pincers that go around, and they'll sort of catch their prey, right?
Ugh.
The funnel web spider is a much earlier spider and did not evolve this, and we know, like, this is how dangerous it is. It survived so long. Instead of catching its prey like that, it goes and bites down, and so in order to strike, it has to rear its entire body up and have its front legs up and then strike onto the prey. So you can see a funnel web is about to strike when it raises half of its body up in the air.
Yeah, I
And
see
if
that.
kids like to poke them and like they get curious about them, they can die.
Dude,
You can die from a funnel web bite in 2 hours.
it looks like a fucking tarantula mixed with a scorpion.
Oh yeah, no.
I'm gonna pull up a picture of this shit.
Yeah,
Whoa.
yeah. You show.
Hang on a sec here, guys. Let me. Oh my god, this thing is.
So, Faith said, so I just looked up Kookaburra sound on YouTube, and the first comment on the video is the sound most guys make when they realize a girl has suddenly become single.
Guys, look at this fucking thing. Look at this fucking thing.
Yes, there it is. That is it.
Oh
That's,
my god.
That
Look-
is a funnel web.
What is that?
And you can see, yeah, like you can see all those pictures of it rearing up. That's when it's going to strike. And you can see the fangs are coming down. Those fangs are sharp. I don't know what that stinger thing, that it doesn't usually have that. I think it's just part of its foot that's been cut off or membered or whatnot. It doesn't have a second stinger.
Well, I'm gonna close this
it's
window.
It's just this.
Sorry I bothered you,
it's
sir. Bye.
That's all good. Those fangs are powerful enough to punch through your fingernail.
Nope.
They're sharp enough and powerful enough to get through fingernail, and they can cause death in 2 hours.
Don't want it.
And especially to little kids and babies, if they find one in one of their toys or something and poke it, it'll attack rather than run away.
Keep it over there.
and- Yeah, we'll have it over here. You can have the rattlesnake.
That's fine. I'll take that trade any
To
day.
be fair, I mean that's sort of like you guys are playing on easy mode in a way, because your deadliest snake makes a rattle when you get near it. Your deadliest snake lets you know. Ours lets us know by fucking us up, and then we die, and that's how we know there was a snake nearby.
True.
How do you know there's a snake over there? Oh, John's dead. His corpse lets us know where the snakes are. That's how we know.
Yeah, we don't really have anything too bad. We have bears that are terrible. They're horrible, terrible. We have actually elk are really, really dangerous, especially in the rut. Elk are gigantic. They are gigantic. Probably about the size of your standard Subaru car that somebody would drive in Australia. Seriously, same.
Right, yeah. Oh, I actually
same
have
dimensions.
a Subaru Impreza.
They can get up to normal, I believe, about 2,000 pounds. Which, what's conversion pounds to? What's your scale for weight?
I think it's about 2.2 pounds per kilograms. What's it called? Elk?
907 kilograms.
Yeah, so it's about a ton then. The 1,000 kilograms makes a ton.
Yeah. That's about your standard size for one of those. And if you've seen pictures, you know they have the big rack of antlers on their head. And
Yeah.
they use those things to do two things, which is to show females how great they are and how powerful they are with their giant display of sexual prowess. And then the other thing that they use them for is to fuck shit up.
Sorry. I just imagined a Donald Trump elk.
Well, that would be
I
very
have
tiny
the best
because
antlers.
I have the tiniest antler hands ever.
Oh. No, we don't have that. I guess, yeah, I think I saw. Oh, that's right, because moose are the one that make the big sort of flat one, and elks have sort of sharp, spindly.
yeah, moose are kind of like this. The elk
Yeah.
are like this. just
Yeah,
monsters. They're monsters.
Yep. We don't have that, but we do. Like I said, we got kangaroo. They're pretty
Weird.
powerful.
Yeah, those things are
Their
jacked.
tail. Well, their tails are strong enough to support their entire body.
Yeah,
So they can lean back on their tail and then kick with their front legs, which obviously kangaroos move by bouncing, so they got strong front legs.
well,
They
I'm
could
pretty sure
easily
they're all
break
jacked up on
ribs.
HGH and testosterone. I'm pretty sure.
Everything in Australia is jacked up on HDH and testosterone. You've seen Australia, right? You have to be, otherwise you die.
I've seen kangaroos, and those things are jacked, dude. Have you seen the Google
Yeah,
picture that went
yeah.
around of that one kangaroo who's just like flexing his shit, and he's got like tries out the wazoo, and he's got like 24-inch biceps, and he's just like, "Fuck you, man! I'm gonna kick the shit out of your balls if you come near me."
I don't have to look at the picture. I live with them.
Those are my roommates.
I can go to the zoo and see them. Like, I could walk down the street. There might be one there. Who knows? It could get into Sydney. I've been in places where there are kangaroos just bouncing down the street.
And you guys want
And
to eat
generally
those things?
speaking, they're tasty. They taste good, man.
How do you kill one? I feel like they're
generally-
bulletproof.
How do you kill one?
I'm just kidding. I'm sure they get
with
shot.
difficulty. Really. No, you're right, because they're packed with muscle. So I don't even know if my 45-pound bow would actually get through the skin, and I don't even. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't get through the skin and bone and hit a vital organ in order to kill it. Because if you're gonna hunt animals, right? If you're gonna hunt animals, then at least do it with a clean shot. Don't kill it by 1,000 paper cuts that are gonna leave it in agony for hours. Yeah. So I don't know if my bow would be able to do that.
I don't know. I'd have to look into that. I don't know anything about kangaroos besides I don't want to fuck with them.
I'd have to check it first, because I don't think it would be fair on the kangaroo to test it on the kangaroo.
Oh no, thank you. But hey, dude, we're running almost 4 hours here, buddy.
Oh yeah, shit, we are too.
We're at 3:45. This is my longest podcast I've ever done.
Sounds good.
It was fun as shit.
Yeah, man, I enjoyed it.
We're gonna have to do this again because you're a good guest to have.
Thanks. No,
you did a good job.
Yeah, no, I absolutely enjoyed it. Thanks. No, I'd love to come back, man.
I still have to. I got to record the intro and do a couple things for the podcast and put the music together and do all that. So I'm going to be up for another couple hours. So eventually, I'm going to have to sleep, but I would like to get this done and post it on my on podcast tonight because it goes up on Spotify and like 10 other platforms. Yeah, so we're gonna have to cut it, dude. We're at 4 fucking hours.
Yeah, no,
it was a good podcast.
That's all good, man. It was a good podcast. I had a lot of fun, and send me a link once you get up. I'd love to listen back to it.
Yeah, man. Tell these people. It's showing that there are 8 viewers, but those are the people who have commented. I think there's more like 21 here on Twitch right now. But as soon as this goes up to podcast, about 1,500 people are going to listen to it. So how are these people going to find your socials, man? Where can they find you at?
Oh, okay. So we mostly at the moment I am, so I should say, on Twitch. It's www.twitch.tv/Norse_Gaming_AUS. That's where we go live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 6 p.m. till 10 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So that's basically now, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, my time. It's 6:30 right now, right?
Ooh, okay.
So that's when I go live. So you can catch those live streams. You can interact. I really enjoy interacting with you guys, chatting and stuff there. We haven't put anything up on YouTube at the moment just because I've got a whole bunch of other stuff going on. But I put up YouTube videos at Norse Gaming there, which has got the same logo as the Twitch page. We also have a Facebook page and a Twitter page by the same name. The Twitter handle is at Norse_Gaming_AU. Yeah, if you want to go check it out, be sure to check it out. And if you want to chat while I'm live streaming, I'm more than happy to have you there.
Nice. Any new projects coming up? You got anything cool coming up in store for everybody, or what are you going to be streaming tonight?
Playing PlanetSide mostly. It's a large FPS game. But
Nice.
if you enjoy sort of futuristic sci-fi FPS on a massive scale with tanks and planes and some coordination with other players, with like up to 2,000 other players on the same server, this is the game for you. And if you want to, you can join me while I play. I enjoy having viewers play with me. So that's going to be the thing.
Sweet.
Yeah. But other than that, I don't really have any huge projects at the moment. I'm just giving people PlanetSide because they seem to like it. And there's always something to do in PlanetSide, so it's nice to watch.
You gotta go with what works, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So,
again, dude, I really appreciate you being here. Thank you for coming on. I know I've been trying to get you on forever, dude, and I took a little break there for a little bit, which is all on me. But I know there was a time there where we were really trying to coordinate something for like 2 weeks straight. I'm like, hey, I'm ready now. Can you do it here in a little bit? No, I got to do this, and it was like that switchback of like, hey, hey, relax, I'm ready. Can you go? No, I'm at work, dude. I can't. And it was a struggle for a little bit.
It's all good, man. Yeah, no, I don't have work anymore. So it helps. But no, thanks for having me on, man. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
looking forward to the next time.
We'll do it again for sure, dude. But thanks to all the viewers, man. Thank you guys very much. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully it picks you up some views here in a little bit. I'm gonna pop off here and I'll send you a host. Let me.
Okay. Well, I'm hosting you, to be honest. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll give it 5 minutes and then I'll host you or whatever, and I'll let you get. Are you gonna go? You're gonna go right after this is over and start your stream too, right?
No. Oh, that's right. It's Friday for you, isn't it?
It's Saturday now.
Yeah, it's Saturday for me. So I did a stream yesterday, my time.
What?
So my next stream will be in 2 days. What time is it for you now?
2:30 a.m. on Saturday.
So my stream, then I'll try and do this for the US viewers. My stream goes live at 2 a.m. Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday.
Okay, gotcha.
So I'm sure I will get many US viewers staying up till 2 in the morning.
This is what happens when you live on the underside of the earth.
I know, but we've got kangaroos and they taste so good.
How did you do that? Both cameras, me and my friends want to do a Pornhub podcast. Well, you see, what you do is you take that shit off of my Twitch and don't talk about porn on my channel. But you do it through Discord, and that's all I'm going to tell you. But if you want to be respectful and PM me, that'd be cool too. Appreciate it.
That's good.
But no, we'll get out of here.
What is that though? Like, what I don't know. I'm pretty sure we can't discuss what that is, but I just want to know how do you do a podcast on there? Surely that's not a podcast.
They'll figure it out.
No, I'm just sort of like, I'm trying to work out what audience is that. Yes, I'm gonna go to Pornhub because I'm an intellectual fellow and I want to watch a podcast.
We know what group it is. I'm not gonna down on people on my stream because I'm better than that shit. But good job. They're just there to get a reaction. I'm used to it, man. But you guys are welcome to stay. If you really want to hang out in the Discord, don't be a douche. You're welcome to hang out. Simple as that, dude. I'm pretty easygoing.
That's
so.
the catchphrase for your podcast. Is it "Don't be a douche"?
Don't be a douche. This is the Don't Be a Douche
Don't
podcast.
be a douche. Don't be a douche. Feel free to hang out. But, it's not a bad catchphrase, to be honest.
That's a pretty steep rule, I know, right? I run this podcast with a fucking iron fist.
Iron hand.
I'm not afraid to shove it up your ass either. Wait, that doesn't apply to the Pornhub people.
I've worked out what Pornhub the podcast is doing.
All right.
They were also using their iron hand.
Oh, damn it. That's I watched a very different Iron Fist then. All right, man. I'm going to get out of here before we get stupid. I'm getting tired. I got some work to do. But, and I just hit puberty. Oh, okay. I'm getting out of here. But, dude, I appreciate it. Thank you. Shout out to all the viewers. Thank you. Thank you for all the bits and the donos. Thanks for watching and listening to the podcast. Oh, bless you, sir. Bless you. But again, Winterborn, thank you for being here, dude. I appreciate it from all the way on the other side of the world in Australia. Thank you very much.
So good, man. Thank you for having me on.
No problem, man. Guys, see ya.